It's time to suit up. Welcome to day 3 of the Fixed Ops Roundtable Automotive Avengers event. Look to the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Katrina Ness of Northwood University.
Good morning. I'm Katrina Ness from Northwood University. Prepare to team up with the Automotive Avengers as we search for the missing hours. So suit up and join us for day 3 of the Fixed Ops Roundtable event. Automotive Avengers, assemble. Join our community of heroes using the chat feature on the right side of your screen. Just be sure to select everyone and not just hosts and panelists. Learn the power of transformation with Ed Roberts, Robert Miggs, Tony Owens, and Ted Ings.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. It's always great to spend time with Robert Migliaccio, Tony Owens, and Ed Roberts. And we got a great story today on the power of transformation. And I know it made a big mark on Tony Owens recently. And Ed, if you wouldn't mind, give us some of the backstory on that.
Well, Tony came down to visit our store a few weeks ago, and I hold leadership meetings 3 times a week, on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And Tony got to experience the one that we held on Friday of that week. And we talked about the power of transformation. We all have ups and downs in our lives. And sometimes we let moments define us. And when we have those downs, it kind of pulls us back. And we think, oh, man, I can't do that again because this will happen. And sometimes just things just didn't go the way you needed them to. And you can't let that moment define you. And then we have peaks, and we do things to try to get back there. Well, I used a video of Damon West where it talked about his life, where he grew up in in a great family, went to college, was quarterback in college football, and then kind of fell off the wagon a bit and spent some time in penitentiary, and then came out and now is a published author and a motivational speaker. But it's the power of transformation that got him there. We can let our outside surroundings define us. And so in that story, it talks about a pot of water, and that is the surrounding, and things that you put in that changes its texture. Well, in a pot of water, if you put a potato in there, it becomes soft. So the surroundings of that softens it up. And same thing would happen with a carrot. We'll put a hard carrot in the hot water, it would become soft as well. And you leave it in there long enough, it becomes mush. Well, an egg is just the opposite. We put an egg in there and it hardens. So different things reacts to different ways of different things in our surroundings. And we all do that too as people. Our surroundings really define who we are. And we have to make conscious decisions to drive in a different direction and let those things and learn from those things rather than let them define us. But if you drop a coffee bean in that water, you can't call it water anymore. It's now coffee. The coffee bean transforms the water into something else. And the message that comes from that is we have things that happen to us and we can let it define us and hold us back from ever attempting to try that again, or we can let it transform us to find ways to push through it and push through those obstacles and find a way around things. And it really lives right here, but having a visual helps us understand so much more how it can transform who we are. And I'll let Tony talk about how it helped him as I'm going to tell the story here, Tony. You teared up a little bit when we was watching.
Man, I did. Man, I can't watch. I can't. If anybody hasn't watched the YouTube video, Damon West Coffee Bean, please, you have to watch this. It's incredible. I bought his books. We're texting back and forth. Man, the impact that had on my life. We've all been through some adversity. Ed himself, he had a lot of adversity as a young man. He was told many times no. And Ed decided he was going to keep pushing. He's going to get there. I created my own adversity, a lot of it. Sure. Then at one point in my life, I decided to own that and change myself and be a different me, to transform like the coffee bean, like the water. And, it's so huge. My life did not change until I changed. And it is so powerful. It's such a powerful thing. I was like Shawn Butler I was the worst person in the world. I was arrogant. I thought nobody was better than me. Everything. I was not approachable. I think everybody knows by now that that's anything but me. But I decided, hey, I own it. This is me. You got to transform. You have to transform and be the best you can be and motivate people. It was a life-changing video for me.
And Ed and Tony, I think all of us have watched transformation taking place before our eyes in the last year and a half. Robert Migliaccio, who's with us today. Robert has been a shining example of that. Robert, tell us your story, because you've made some great strides, and that has not gone unnoticed.
No, I appreciate that. It's like and Tony said, it was an accountability of self more than anything. It was really taking the step back and telling myself that it needed to be done, it had to be done, and finding people that would hold me accountable to do it. So, I let myself go. I put myself in a position where I didn't really take care of myself. I was probably a very humble person to everyone else and tried to help out everybody else, but I kind of put myself to the back burner here. So this may be a little contradictory to some of the story and the aspect of it, but I had to get to a point where I was important as well. I kind of lost track of myself being important. And when I realized that taking care of myself, like Tony said, and becoming the best version of myself was the only way I was going to be able to give people the best version of me and give the best quality leadership, the best quality husband, the best quality father. Is in that regard, I had to be the best version of me. So that took me kind of peeling into myself and identifying that I had to overcome my own obstacles of what were kind of holding me back from doing things. And, we joke about it now because you look at the picture of myself starting here a year ago versus now, and it's a walk different, talk different, sound different kind of feeling. And, I did nothing more than challenge myself to really kind of say that I could do it. And at the end of the day, a lot of those cycles and controls show that you have the ability to grow. At the end of it, you're not better than anything. And it's always growing. It's always learning. It's always teaching. And one of the best things in doing that really kind of helped not only myself thrive, it helped my family thrive. Not because of any set group, person, or things like that. It was just a matter of needing to kind of cycle back to the foundation and really take care of it from there and move from there. So,
Robert, what was the final motivating factor, if you will, that made you embark on the transformation?
So we held a mentorship class here, going over everything from finances, relationships, pretty much a little bit of everything. And physical health was one of the key goals I want to get out of there, which was trying to figure out how I could get myself in a position to finally lose weight in essence of it. So I was at my highest here. I was at 237 pounds. We were in the meeting and we discussed what we had to get into. And once again, I kind of, rattled myself and said, hey, I'll do it in about 12 months. I'll get it done, at some point in time. And Scott Simons, our executive manager, the president of the stores here in Stanton, who was holding the meeting, looked at me and said, that's not going to work. You got 6 months. And it was the first time anybody really kind of put forth any personal challenge to myself that I couldn't do something. And that just kind of burned something inside of me. It was like, you can't tell me I can't do it, because I'm going to prove you wrong. And we ended up knocking that out in 3 months. I ended up doing it faster than what we originally expected to do, just kind of really dove in 100%. And now just turned it around to where I'm down about 50 pounds from where I started a year later, and still working out, still doing, following my eating habits, drinking less of the bad things, putting all the good things in my body, and trying to realistically get back, like everybody said, back to the best version of ourselves. That way I can give the best version to everybody.
I watched that journey along with you. And you've done an amazing thing. Not only when it helps you physically, mentally, it's got to be such a great thing as well.
So I want to touch on a couple of things that's being stated here. We're talking about our stories, and Tony brought up some of mine, and Robert's telling us some of his, and that doesn't separate out from our people. Everyone has a story. Yeah. And sometimes they can't separate themselves out from the negative sides of that, whether it's self-inflicted or not. And it's up to us to be that positive influence. But think about the things that Robert just talked about there that helped him. Those same things can help our people as well. He wanted to be the best husband. Well, there's really no formal training to how to have a relationship. You got to figure those things out. But there's things that we can do to support each other. Finances. I mean, to set yourself up for whatever you may want to do long term, or whatever, to prevent from getting in trouble, or to set yourself up to be able to buy a house sooner than you thought you could. All those elements we could support each other with. Health. That's one thing that we control. We don't know how to control it until we have to react to it. And when we start gaining too much weight, or we have trouble breathing, or we're in and out of the hospital, then we say, okay, I got to change things. Well, if we knew those things earlier on, knew how to change them, or knew a different direction, we can all have that influence on our people. And then the last thing, if we're not doing those things, we can't develop ourselves. And if we can't develop ourselves, we can't develop our people. And when we help them with those things that they have outside of work, because it's not just about work, like Robert said, it's about the things that comes around it. When we help them with those things, they become more committed to what we do. And that's when transformation really takes place.
And Ed, it would sound in the story of Robert talking about Scott Simons, who's been on the broadcast before, Tony coming to your leadership meeting, that it's incumbent on all of us, everybody here, everybody attending as leaders, to be able to carry that message out, because we have a great responsibility to do that.
It's our responsibility to develop our people. But more so than developing our people, it's our responsibility to develop ourselves. Yeah. We have to develop ourselves first, and then we can carry it out. And I can assure you, with Tony being a part of that leadership meeting that we had, that he's carried it out elsewhere, and he's made an influence on someone else somewhere along the way. With all of his LinkedIn posts, with people there in his and the world that he lives in, there in Ohio, he's made an impact, and that's what it's about. It's about us taking it out, not just taking the message in and say, okay, well, I can do something with that, but taking it out and doing more with it.
Mm-hmm.
Tony, I remember you messaging me and maybe even calling me the night before and saying, Ed invited me to his leadership meeting tomorrow morning. I'm going to go. I'm going to go to that meeting. And I think I asked you, what time is that meeting? He said, I'm going to be there. And Tony, that really obviously has helped inspire you. And like Ed just said, it's inspired so many others.
It was a huge thing for me. And, and I talked to Ed about, I said, Ed, do you, afterwards, I messaged him. I said, do you mind if I share that coffee bean video? Because it was so powerful. And his response was perfect. He said, it's your responsibility to show that to people. And it is. I've showed that thing to lots of people, anybody that'll watch, anybody that'll listen, because you can overcome anything in the world. If your mind tells you to do it, you just have to overcome it. We all three know that. It's a mindset.
It's absolutely a mindset.
Yeah, it starts there. So what a great way, everybody, to start our conference, kick things off here in the middle of the week. I'm grateful to all of you for all that you do in leadership. Great leaders here who've been in the industry for some time. We've all had adversity, right, of one sort or another. And like you said, Ed, a lot of people don't realize it, but we've all had some form of adversity come our way, and it's how we tackle it, and it's how we overcome it.
It is. And I'm going to give it back to you for a second, Ted. You are transforming fixed ops. You're putting things in front of people that they've never had in front of them before, and you're creating the platform for them to take it back to their store and become transformational. And doing that is you're doing more of that than you realize, and you deserve the credit for that. And thank you for what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Very grateful to you, Ed. And Tony and Robert and Ed. I remember the message we had from Robert maybe a year and a half ago, right? Wanting to get involved with a lot of our stuff. I remember that.
That was part of my transformation was to give back. So I used my little social media power there, and I tied somebody to Ted that he couldn't say no to. And Ed, I appreciate you piggybacking and staying on that, because I don't know if we'd be in the same position right now. It'd be a little different. So
it's worked out well for everybody. Everybody, very grateful to all of you. And Robert Migliaccio, Tony Owens, and Ed Roberts, happy Thanksgiving to you and your families. And
happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thank you.
Gobble, gobble.
Just remember one thing, never quit.
We are Fixed Ops Digital, Automotive's premier service marketing and technology company, and creators of the industry's first and only website service experience platform, Spark. We offer fully compliant fixed operations pages and coupon designs unique to every OEM. Our Why Service Here website page and video highlight what makes your dealership unique: certified technicians, OEM parts, online service scheduling, and complimentary amenities. Complete the online service funnel and bring customers to your scheduler with service conversion pages. Each offer on your menu page links to a page specifically designed to educate the consumer while increasing appointment conversion rates. Repair financing integrations for Sunbit and Dignify, so your customers can see as low as payment options directly on the offers. When customers save an offer to their mobile device, a prompt to enter their contact information appears, turning them into a service department lead. Bring in customers who need recall service and collect vehicle data. We've created a recall lookup through license plate numbers. No VIN necessary. With Spark, your service offers can automatically post to your Google Business profile. Our social ads are dynamic, so your ad prices automatically update with your offer menu pages. Dynamic ads mean more consistency across channels for clearer messaging. Just press play. Introducing interactive video by Fixed Ops Digital. Take your service website visitors on a journey Learn more about your core offerings, recommended maintenance intervals, the importance of certified service centers, and why your dealership is the right choice. Spark has over a year's worth of industry-leading GA4 data. Fixed Ops Digital is a founding member of the Automotive Standards Council for GA4 events, and we're dedicated to helping give dealerships a deeper understanding of their website's customer engagement. Data-driven offers management means more service conversions, the lifeblood of what we do. Ready to increase your dealership's service conversions? Connect your fixed operations departments to Spark, the industry's first and only website service experience platform.
Curious about the future of technology in the automotive industry? Join us in a segment from our pop-up event where we discover the possibilities of what is next.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Ted, we have a very special guest that's an expert on one of my favorite topics with us today.
I know, Sarah. It was a great honor to welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable Anthony Giagnacovo, industry expert. And Anthony, you are a friend of so many colleagues. Welcome to Fixed Ops.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Ted. It's an honor to be here, and thank you for having me back.
You've been on so many times, and it's great to finally see you in person.
I do exist. I'm not an AI.
All right. So, and as Sarah said, this is one of our favorite topics. So, here we are, fourth quarter of 2023 going into 2024. What do you see happening, and what should we be concerned about in the industry right now as dealers looking into the near future?
I think the biggest thing right now is customer loyalty. Having those customers coming to you and trusting you. I always tell people the funnel is built in two ways. You got to have your brand. You got to know who you are. That's a given. The second one is creating that confidence, that trust. That trust only comes when you have that interaction with their customers. So as we're entering into the last quarter of the year, having that quick return on your investment becomes more and more important. And that means you got to be connecting with those customers. You got to be talking to those customers. We've learned as customers that we have choice now, and we can go anywhere to get things done. If you don't have that customer service that they're expecting, they will go somewhere else. So treat your customers well, and they'll stay with you. They'll be loyal to you. Respect your customers, provide them the service that they expect, and answer those phones, please.
Well, great that you mentioned that, because you and I and Sarah have been talking about one of the big things we hear at the Roundtable, on the service side especially, is the need to answer the phone. It's not super high tech, not very complex, but Anthony, that's happening right now in our industry.
Absolutely. And Sarah and I were talking about that last night. There's the outbound side, and then there's the inbound side. Inbound, definitely answer the phones. And who's answering the phones, especially on the service side? When you have advisors spending time to answer the phones or make those outbound calls, they're not focused on what they should be doing, which is all around, RO count, increasing the profitability, increasing also loyalty of the customers, and also increasing your retentions of your own employee. They are overwhelmed. I've been now to a number of dealerships, and I've seen how the service departments are overwhelmed, and they're making outbound calls as if they're just, ordinary calls versus focused on campaigns. And that's why, when Sarah and I were talking about that, saying outbound's got to be campaign focused driven. You got to have an objective. Call them for their service appointments, call them for their oil changes. There's so much technology out there that you got to be ready to take in that information and use it to the advantage of, when and what I should be doing. Absolutely.
Well, Anthony, and, a lot of dealers get sometimes bogged down because they are so busy thinking about, okay, well, how do I even get started on these type of communication initiatives? Where's the beginning? So what would you recommend a dealer do to really drive some of these initiatives in the next year?
Well, that's a great question. So I look at a dealership almost like I look at a football team. There's 53, players on the sideline, but only 11 players on the field at any time. Of those 11 players, they all know what to do. So focus is essential. So what I would recommend right now for a dealership to do is focus on your customer and break it down by something very, very simple. Bring in your BDC or use a virtual BDC to help you in that process. So then you've got the advisor who's focused on what he needs to do, which is RO development, RO commitments, RO profitability, employee retention, and customer loyalty. So it's a quick, easy fix. It actually works very well. It is fast to implement, and the return on the investment is very, very quickly. So a VBDC, bringing them in, doing that to help. It can help with the overflow. It can help with the after hours. It helps address when the customer wants to be spoken to. And I think customers want to be talking to humans, by the way.
You know, we are starting to hear that exact term, virtual BDC. Tell us some more about that, because that's coming really into fruition now. And like you just said, that would help solve a lot of needs at the dealership.
It really would. I mean, the virtual BDC side is amazing because it can be anywhere, but I'd recommend a few things. One, you want to make sure you have US-based people doing the work. So you want to have that conversation that occurs in a manner that addresses the geographical and cultural needs of the dealership as well. So make sure that, when you're in Texas, you've got someone that's got the accent that complements it as well, because it does help it. Also, what they understand the culture of that environment. So having a team that's virtual, that can be staffed up when you need it, is essential. So it becomes your auxiliary component.
So maybe having that center based, let's say in New York or New Jersey, may not be the best suitable thing for everybody.
Absolutely. or the Massachusetts accent for someone down in California. Absolutely.
Sarah, you've been so instrumental on the business development side. You see a lot of the latest technologies, and now you're involved in that and on the training side as well. Any thoughts that you've got as well?
Well, it is so important, as Anthony was saying, the strategy. Oftentimes with BDCs, and especially the communication side of the business, it gets really challenging for a dealer to wrap their arms around it and think, what's important for me to start today? Oftentimes, telephony and phone calls, they look at it as a reactive process. They look at it and go, the phone's ringing, nobody's answering it. I guess I should have someone answer the phone. But we have to look at it further than that. And I think, Anthony, you can speak into this too on the technology side, but having the data to show what's really coming in and going out of your service department and communications, because all of that impacts the entire customer experience. And Anthony, I'd love to get your take on it. So with the technology pieces of it, how is this so important for a dealership to be looking at and measuring what's going on in their service departments?
Monumental. You're so spot on. If you can't measure it, you can't fix it, right? So the ability to have that analysis of what the calls are, what you're working on, where you're focused is so, so important. So when you are looking at a VBDC, it's not only about the services that are going out there, but you also have the measurements coming back in to ensure that what you're doing is being done properly. The recordings, the analysis, the metrics to go with it. You're spot on. You need that component, and you need it at a relatively quick speed. Things are happening so fast nowadays that time is of the essence. And, you keep hearing time kills all deals. Well, let me tell you, that will kill that transmission repair opportunity that you might have if you don't respond properly and quickly.
Anthony, you've got the ear of so many colleagues and friends in the industry. I know when I look for different things and trends, I contact you and I speak to you as far as what's happening in fixed ops. Let's go back to the service calls, okay? Are the majority of the calls that come into the dealership for the service department as related to, let's say, other than parts or sales?
Oh my God, 60% of the calls, as we've now analyzed, are mostly about, is my car ready? Which is the most frustrating piece because it's the easiest thing to communicate back to a customer using technology. To answer your question about technology, there's such a shift right now. The telephony solutions out there in the market are delivering such innovative capabilities around IVRs, interactive voice responding. So when you press 1, it can actually then prompt you for something else and get you clear into what you need to do. So it alleviates that call that could be addressed by an AI bot and then gets the people that are on the phones addressing the real critical components. So technology is really helping that. And I'm telling you, like you said, or I just mentioned, 60% of the calls are mostly about, is my car available?
I know you and I were chatting earlier today about our good friend Tom Dahl, who just retired over at Subaru of America. But one of the things that we were talking about recently with Tom was, you know what? We need someone to make sure the phones are answered at the dealership. And he goes, that's constantly when I call into the dealership. So here's the CEO of a OEM saying that's like at the top of the list. So Anthony, there really aren't too many more things that are more important than this right now.
I don't agree with you. So like Tom said to me all the time, he says, get them to answer the phones. If they can only answer the phones. And by the way, if you answer the phones, you increase your connectivity count, you increase your customer loyalty, and you'll increase your revenue easily. And that's a quick win. I mean, that is really something simple to do. So I highly encourage people to look and invest in BDCs or complement them with virtual BDCs.
Everybody, Anthony Giagnacovo, one of the great names in our industry, involved not just on the retail side, on the technology side as well. Anthony, I'm going to ask you to stay with us and come back, and we'll have a few more questions for you as well later in the program.
Well, thank you very much. This has been a pleasure and an honor.
Anthony Giagnacovo, everybody, here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Thank you.
Need help increasing sales for your dealership? With just one place to connect your data, solutions, and results, you can finally align your teams, improve performance, and power business efficiencies across all your stores. Easily source inventory, bring more traffic to your dealership, and speak to your audience to boost conversions with multi-channel digital solutions. Drive repeat business and transform your operations with a data-driven, integrated suite. Turn shoppers to sales. Increase vehicle acquisition. Maximize service scheduling. Enhance service lane experience. Own your retention marketing. Drive service conquest. And convert service to sales. Our suite, your solution. Contact us today and deliver first-rate experiences to your consumers.
Our next speaker is the legendary Les Silver, here to talk about the impact of electric vehicles on automotive service and parts.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. They say that when Les Silver speaks, people listen. And Les Silver has a great track record in our industry about bringing so much technology to the forefront in fixed operations. And we are honored again to have him here with us at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Les, welcome back to the event.
Ted, thank you so much again for giving me the opportunity to participate. It's one of the highlights of my, almost every month now, it seems.
It does seem. And your theme today has been something that's been a recurring topic, and it's coming up more and more. So I'm excited to hear about how electric vehicles are going to impact service and parts operations. So Les, with that, the show is all yours.
Thanks, Ted. Yes, it's clear, Ted, that the EVs are coming and that they are going to have an impact. And I thought I'd share some thoughts on what I believe the impact is going to be. And I think it may be a little bit different than what you may have seen, heard, or read about from other sources. So let me jump right in. Most of the OEMs have made major commitments to EVs. And most of the projections suggest that by 2030, about half of the vehicles sold in 2030 will be EVs. What impact will this have on the dealership service and parts business? That's the main question. I hear a lot of quotes. So if one of them that I hear is dealership fixed absorption is going to drop dramatically. It'll be down to 25%. I hear that there's only half of the service work needed on an EV compared to an internal combustion vehicle. I hear that dealerships, they're not going to have enough work to be able to fully utilize their service facilities. So I often hear these quotes and read these stories and ask myself, well, is this true? Is this what we're looking for in the future? So let's take a look at it in more detail. There's three questions that I ask myself in trying to determine the impact. The first question is, what work is there that will be available on these vehicles? And what are the economics? How much will that cost? The second is, will the work actually be performed? Having it as a requirement is one thing. Having it actually bought by the customer is another. The third question is, who will do it? Will be the dealerships doing it, or will be the aftermarket doing it? And that obviously has, from the dealer's perspective, a major impact on what the impact will be from a revenue generation potential. So let's deal with these questions one at a time. First of all, there's different segments of work in the dealership's business. How will they be affected? Let's start with factory recommended maintenance. That's a big category of work. And that generally comes down to three things that might go into a maintenance package. One would be perform some form of an inspection on a component of the vehicle. The second would be just on a routine maintenance basis, time, mileage have passed. Now you're going to replace a part. And third is time, mileage has passed, and you're going to perform a service. And as an example, this came right out of the Ford Mustang Mach-E maintenance schedule, right off their website. And they have two intervals for scheduled maintenance. They have the 10,000 mile and the 20,000 mile, and they rotate back and forth. And if you look at both columns here, you can see that, first of all, they're very, very similar, the content. In fact, there's only one item where there's a difference. Otherwise, what you would do at 10,000 miles is the same thing as you do at 20,000 miles. And that difference is that there would be a replacement of the cabin air filter on a 20,000 mile interval as opposed to the 10. But the other things, perform a service as an example, rotate tires is an example of you would on a routine basis perform a service, 10,000 miles, 20,000 miles, inspect tire wear is an inspect item, replace the cabin air filter is a do something item. And you can see that there is a fair bit of inspection in here. In fact, the vast majority of the content of this package, both these packages, are inspect, 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 inspect. Now, you're inspecting with the expectation that at some point in time, you might find something that's wrong. Otherwise, why would you bother inspecting it? Because things do wear out or things do break. And as a component of the inspection, you may end up with some repair. But the inspection itself is needed in pretty well all cases and is surprisingly lucrative on the EVs compared to what's going on in the internal combustion. And the example probably of the vehicles that have been on the road the longest is Tesla. And this was just published actually last week by RepairPal. According to RepairPal, average Tesla maintenance cost is $832 per year, comparing to an average of $650 for the other models that are being sold. So the maintenance component is significant and is a significant opportunity for, call it what it is, it's gravy work. It's work that requires probably a different level of skill to do the inspection, because they'd be looking at things that they wouldn't be normally looking at on an internal combustion engine. But this isn't rocket science. And while there is less content in the maintenance schedule because, there is no oil change, there's no fluids to be replacing, which people seem to highlight by saying, there's going to be very little to do. That's only one small component. The perceived expertise to take a look at an EV commands a higher price in the marketplace. So there is a significant chunk of work available through that bucket of scheduled maintenance. What about some of the other buckets? Well, supplemental maintenance services. One of our regular guests on the roundtable is BG, and I haven't heard that they're shutting down. So they're there, and they're going to be there, and they're a very capable and innovative company. And as time progresses, they will find other value-added services that will enhance the vehicle ownership experience, and they will be developed for EVs. I'm very confident in that. Not sure exactly what they're going to be, and spoke with one of the BG distributors who was saying, no, they're working on stuff, not sure exactly what it's going to be yet, but there will be a category of work which would be sort of supplemental maintenance services that will be offered. Replacing things that wear out, wear items. The ones you think of most, Dave Boyle will certainly chime in here, tires, brakes, will be needed, but for a different reason. The friction material on brakes isn't used nearly as often in an EV as it is in a internal combustion engine, so they won't wear out nearly as fast as they would otherwise. But there are some corrosion elements of brakes that have to be taken a look at least inspected, that may result in a need to replace. Wipers, the battery. We haven't got to the point yet where people are being asked to shell out $13, $15, $20, $25,000 for a new battery system. And it'll be interesting to see just how that gets handled. What is available to consumers to almost help finance the redoing of the electrical system in that vehicle at a huge expense. But that is a opportunity for the dealers. A lot of the things that will be needed to correct will be done through reprogramming of software. And whether that be in dealership or increasingly over the air remotely, there will be more and more in that category of reprogramming work that'll be done. Some of it will be covered by warranty. Some eventually will be covered by customer pay, but that's a increasing category of work that will certainly add to the revenues of the dealership as it moves forward. Fixing stuff. When you do the inspection, you'll find that things are often broken. There are fewer mechanical systems, but there's an air conditioning system, there's a suspension system, there's a lot of systems around still in the vehicle, and they will break, and that will be an opportunity. But more of the systems will be electronics, and the diagnosis and the replacement of knowing which one to replace, and the reprogramming that goes along with that requires greater skill and a greater parts cost as well. So that's another segment that will be significant. And finally, it's been my view that at some point in time, dealers are going to get serious about the aesthetics of the vehicle with appearance or functionality or performance enhancement accessories. And that will become more and more a part of the dealer service business. It's a major opportunity that's untapped, except for after the initial vehicle sale. A lot of accessories often get sold as part of the sale, but then the dealers kind of get out of the business and leave it to others to come in and go after that business. I think the dealers will see that there's more opportunity there that will take them in that direction. So is there services to be performed question suggests to me that there's going to be lots of services to be performed. And that tied into the questions 2 and questions 3. First, will it be performed? Just because it's needed. I mean, cars have had scheduled maintenance. Cars have had owner's manuals that are full of things that need to be done that doesn't. The Car Care Council estimates that currently there's over $50 billion a year in needed services that go unperformed. That's enormous. Why? Well, it's primarily the result of lack of appreciation by the consumer of the need and value of those services, combined, quite frankly, with can they afford it? That 50 billion, there isn't just sitting around, waiting to be spent in this category. It's a choice to spend it here or spend it there. Will that be different for the EV? If you can design a program that educates the customer on the needed work, and the customer's demographic, I think, favors protecting the vehicle. The vehicles are going to be more expensive. The owners of these vehicles are going to have, I think, a more I want to take care of it attitude towards the vehicle. I think there's a greater chance that a larger percentage of that 50 billion on the EVs won't be there, that the work is going to get done. And it's going to get done because people are going to have a mindset to want to take care of their vehicles. Kind of going back to when, the Asian imports entered the market, when, it was just the domestics, back in the early 60s, the domestics, they were the only game in town. The Asian imports came and didn't have the breakdowns, but they had a maintenance schedule, which they really were able to convince the consumer was necessary. Now that's changed over time as it's become more commoditized. But I think that we're going to find, at least in the early stages, the EVs are going to be thought of as being special, and people are going to want to take care of them. Who will do it? Will it be the dealership or the aftermarket? Well, currently the dealers have, depending on where you look at, 25-ish%. I've seen 22 at the low end, 30 at the high end. But 25% of the service market is going back to the dealers. That means that 75% of the work of the vehicles on the road have been captured by the independent aftermarket. Will the dealers get a larger share of the EV service and parts business? I believe they will. First of all, I think it'll be more challenging for the aftermarket to make the investment in tools and training necessary to service the broad range of EVs. I think they're going to pick their spots carefully, but they aren't going to have the capability to be across the board competitive in the servicing of the EVs. The dealers will have the head start. We've talked many times about, the shame it is that 75% of the business goes to the aftermarket when every vehicle was put on the road by the dealer. And they then abdicated that market and left it to the aftermarket to take the lion's share. I think they have an opportunity now to have this head start. They're selling the vehicle, they have a one-on-one relationship with the customer, and they have the ability to be able to have a conversation about what's it going to take to properly take care of the vehicle. They'll have that head start in educating the customer on the needed services and why the dealer is the place to get it done. And finally, I think, and you'll see it, customers will have the impression that the dealership is the place that's the preferred service provider by the OEM. In fact, this comes right out of the Tesla's website. Damages or failures caused by maintenance or repairs performed by non-Tesla certified technicians are not covered by the warranty. And that's a perception, in some extent it's a reality, but the tendency is going to be for there to be more of the work that's going to go back to the dealers. So the dealers are likely to get a significantly larger share of the EV service and parts market. So in the internal combustion engine market, you've got a fair bit of work that's necessary, maybe a little bit more than in the EV, but you get a lot of it that isn't performed, and you get a lot of it that's going elsewhere. What we can conclude is that take a look at dealers' revenue. It's a multiple. Available work times percentage work performed times percentage work performed at the dealership is your formula for your dealership's revenue. The dealers have the opportunity to do it right, to educate the customer from the time of sale on what's needed to protect the investment in the vehicle, and aggressively market those services when they're due. When that 10,000 miles rolls around on the Mustang EV, are you in front of the customer saying, hey, this is important, now's the time, come on in and get it done? That retention focus is an opportunity. Dealers had this opportunity before. They had the opportunity years ago. They could have shut the aftermarket out. Instead, they took the attitude, more work than we can handle, we don't care. It really wasn't the top of the mind, and they blew it before. Hopefully they won't do it again. Hopefully they'll take that opportunity to have that one-on-one conversation and get that retention level up, get the customer buying what's needed and doing it at the dealership. And instead of they're saying, we won't have enough capacity, we're going to be back to a situation where we're going to have to grow our service business to accommodate it. My point of view.
Les, I remember you telling me a while back that early in your career, you were a numbers guy. You started off going over the numbers, okay, in business. And I look at that formula here that says dealer revenue generated equals available work times percentage work performed times percentage work performed at the dealership. That's the formula right there. And you've been putting these formulas together, all your life. And now here we have a formula, to look at this new opportunity, if you will, and it is on EVs, and what will, be another chance for the dealers to take back our industry.
It's almost a new ball game. You watch the way the OEMs are approaching the sale of EVs. Ford, as kind of split the franchise in two. With EV as being part of their go-to-market strategy and still some internal combustion, you have a chance now to redefine the service experience. Don't blow it.
Great advice, Les Silver. And Les, thank you for all you do for our industry. I hear more and more every month. It's like a snowball going downhill with Dynatron software, with what you're doing, for our dealers. And I'm sure, Les, that you will be on the forefront with helping our dealers here, as more and more EVs come into the marketplace with, with pricing and doing it properly.
Yep, I certainly will.
Everybody, if you want to reach out to Les Silver and Dynatron, his information is scrolling at the bottom here. And I encourage you to do that. A lot of our dealers use Dynatron and are very impressed with what has happened to their industry and to their business. So I encourage you to do that. And Les Silver, thank you so much for your insights. And I think you've answered a lot of questions, and you've also opened a lot of minds as to, where we're headed in our industry. So on behalf of the Fixed Ops community, thank you again.
You're very welcome, Ted.
Les Silver from Dynatron Software here this morning at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Opportunities for revenue growth are out there, and they're closer than you think. The problem is most service departments lack the time, software, and data to see these opportunities. They're in the dark. That's where we come in. We help shed light on revenue growth opportunities hidden within your data. Dynatron gives you the tools, coaching, and knowledge to maximize your service department revenue. From optimizing labor rates on maintenance and repairs to helping with manufacturer warranty labor rate and parts markup, our training and software gets you the most from your data. We illuminate these revenue opportunities with 3 fundamental solutions powered by our ROI suite and expert coaching. Price Smart. Our Price Smart solution drives additional revenue through price optimization. Charging the perfect price for services maximizes revenue while maintaining retention. Pricing compliance. Holding service advisors and technicians accountable to avoid costly mistakes that can lead to significant ELR and retention erosion. And parts and labor warranty filing. Price optimization and compliance prior to filing maximizes the process, which leads to larger revenue opportunities. Where other companies just file, we maximize and file. Sell Smart. Our Sell Smart solution is a customized, dealer-specific, technology-enabled sales training program for your service advisors and management team. It focuses on improving each advisor's revenue-generating potential with continuous improvement. Small but consistent changes add up to big results. Market Smart. With Dynatron's Market Smart solution, we analyze your service department data to develop custom, multi-channel marketing campaigns that target existing and new customers. We guide additional traffic to your service drive, resulting in tangible ROI. Powering these solutions is our ROI suite and expert coaching. We take your repair order data, process it through our proprietary algorithms, curate new data, and combine to find new insights. Then, our expert coaches guide you through our proven turnkey process to discover new opportunities and deliver results, ultimately seeing a 5x to 15x ROI each year you partner with Dynatron. Managing your service department is hard enough. You don't need another vendor. You need a long-term partner. Don't stay in the dark. Accelerate your service department revenue today. Visit DynatronSoftware.com.
Learn from the best in the business and how they develop aspiring talent with the Young Tech panel up next.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. At our last event, we had a stellar panel on young technicians and different best practices. Today, no exception. We've got the A-list back with us. Richard Lupo is with us from Asheville, North Carolina. He's the service director at Apple Tree Honda and Acura. We had a chance to visit recently. Richard, welcome. Robert Migliaccio is with us from Carter Myers Automotive, the Valley dealerships there. Robert, welcome. Shawn Butler, our good friend, is with us today from Bristol Honda and Johnson City Acura and Mazda. Tony Owens is with us from Germain. So great day when we have Tony Owens on the panel. Ed Roberts is with us from a small store in St. Augustine, Bozard Ford Lincoln. Sean Kingrey, looking good. Okay, Kaiser Automotive Group up in Wisconsin. And of course, our good friend Jeremy Stevens is with us. Easter Automotive Group in North Carolina. Jeremy, the panel's really the brainchild of yourself. I'm going to kind of let you open it up and start the panel and get things rolling.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we always love talking about young technicians because it is our future. And I know everybody has apprentice programs and stuff like that. And it's different bringing these young techs in there because a lot of times this is their first job. And, you know, there's a lot of little extra work that you have to do, but the rewards are huge at the very end. And I just kind of like to open it up just open it up more. You know, is there anything that you're doing community outside the dealership to help, you know, create a bond with these young guys to kind of keep that community going just so they have a better friendship, you know, in work and out of work. So I just want to kind of, you know, open it up to everybody.
Well, we usually take the young technicians out every other weekend or so, once in a while. I don't know, twice a month maybe. We do what they like to do. We do some off-roading, things of that nature. We try to bond emotionally as well as professionally because that's extremely important. It's the most important thing. You know, mentoring programs are great. You got to have the best mentors in place. Everyone needs them. And that's what we try to do most down there, up here.
We found an opportunity actually in scheduling lunches. So we partner up lunch. There's an opportunity we found with scheduling lunches, apprentice and whoever they're apprenticing with, finding some of the young guys, some of our entry-level technicians, putting them on lunch schedules together. And we found that there's some camaraderie to be had. We saw relationships developing because lunches coincided. So we really manage the lunch part of it, the lunch break part of it, and we're very intentional about who takes breaks when, and to try to foster some of that as well. So that was one thing that just real world that we have found, and it's bred some success. We've had some success with it over the years.
For us, I got to tell you guys, up here in Wisconsin, hunting is like a way of life. Literally, we almost closed the store. They closed the schools down for a week, literally a week at the end of November, so people can go hunting. So up here, and for those that don't know, I might hypothetically have a very large gun collection, and I have some pretty fun stuff to shoot. We're actually going this Sunday to go shooting. I have a 50 cal that I have plenty of ammunition for, that you have to find a 1.5 mile range. And as I walk through the store that I'm at today, they're all talking about it because many of them have never seen that. And it's not about a brag. It's just something that I have that I get the opportunity. And to know that they're that big into shooting, guys, it's like an event up here, which is cool. I love to do it.
So to develop techs, you have to know them. You can't develop them if you don't know them. And I love hearing what's going on around here, and similar to Richard there, and we do several different things, but similar to Richard, when you do a lunch with them, and we try to take a group of people to lunch, a team each time, we don't talk work. And you'd be amazed at the things that you find out. Like, I have a young kid that just had their first kid last weekend, but his hobby is a cappella. Would have never thought that. Wow. But it's about connecting with these guys, and they're real people. And when you can do those things and connect with them, then there's no barriers. And when you know guys, they'll trust you to help them develop them.
That's great. I found some things out by accident, managing technicians, about them. I'd always like to manage by walking around. And, I was walking out the back of the shop one day, and I seen a technician walking in with some fishing poles. I said, "Hey, what you do?" He said, "Well, I just go fishing every day at the river down the road there, and I love to crappie fish." And ended up, I got him I said, "Hey, what do you think about a new fishing pole?" He said, "Well, that'd be great." I said, "Hey, let's try to do this. Let's try to work a little harder. I'll help you what you need, and I'll get you a fishing pole if you get where you want to be." We set a goal together, and I ended up buying him an ugly stick. And it's just part of knowing your technicians and knowing them personally and what they like to do.
Shawn Butler, I've seen you walking around as well. I know you know those technicians.
Yeah, so in our shop, and much like Ed and Shawn, everybody here, I'm in the shop like 20 times a day. They probably get tired of seeing me. But I spend time with the techs every day, and I'm learning about them. And it's amazing, like you said, like I got a couple techs that are just gun crazy enthusiasts. I got a couple techs who are hunting. All they do is hunt. I got other people that love RV lifestyle. They go every chance they get. So when you learn those things that motivate them, you can find ways to help them achieve more by motivating them, right? With the young techs, it's especially essential. Like I got guys that are into racing these RC cars. Apparently these things go like 200 miles an hour. And they're huge into that. They do it almost every evening after work. They run around the shop at 5:30 and 6 o'clock. There's like 10 cars running around here. So, I mean, those things are fun. And I never stop anybody from having fun. They call me. They want, "Hey, there's a big concert in Asheville this weekend. All my buddies are going. I need Friday off." Okay, take Friday off. Have fun. You're going to go do a canoe race down the Watauga River. Okay, great. Do that. I never tell anybody no. I got enough people working here. I can miss 2 or 3, letting them do their thing, and we don't miss a beat.
I will piggyback on one thing with Ed. You're saying one thing we also found by knowing your people is handing somebody a $50 gift card or a $50 bill or a $100 bill or something to that effect. If you can tailor that prize to something in their life, instead of a $50 Visa card or a $50 cash, if you give them a $50 Home Depot card or a $50 Bass Pro Shops or something that hits their lifestyle, because they're young guys and gals, and they're trying to get their life going. And so if you give them $50 cash or $50 in their paychecks, it's going in the bank. It's going to buy groceries or pay a bill or something. But if you give them a $50 Bass Pro Shop, that is something that they will take to Bass Pro Shops and spend that $50 on themselves. And so we do offer 5-6 choices of specific gift cards when we do a contest, not just a $25 Visa card or a $100 Visa card. So that customization of doing that, hits their home. And if they're Home Depot people, they get to go to Home Depot with a gift card instead of just donating it to the general fund. So it's very, very effective. They'll work harder for a $50 Bass Pro Shop card than they will for a $50 Visa gift card.
You're absolutely right, Richard. That's for sure. I've said many times, you motivate 50 people 50 ways. You got to know those people. Whatever motivates them, that's what you got to key in on. You might have 50 different ways of motivating people and having relationships, but you got to key on everyone. You can't treat everyone the same.
I'll just keep up with that, guys. Everything you're saying, I mean, everybody's got a concept of what we're going to do to take care of them. But the key point I think everybody keeps touching on is the focus on knowing the team, knowing the members, and what really pushes them and drives them. We do something similar here in the beginning of the year, and then through the middle of the year, we have them set their personal and professional goals. So that way we can help hold them accountable outside of that. And then I can use those things, like Tony said, to help drive productivity in the shop with them for what they want to meet at. But it comes down to really kind of gathering the crew together and really kind of doing some things. Jeremy makes a great point of, kind of meeting them where they are is the key to getting to know them a little differently. Like Ed said, you got to keep the business out of it, and let it be fun, let them enjoy the day, and let them know that it's all about them. And, whatever it is that you're doing out there. I mean, we all got a lot of different ways we all take care of them at the end of the day. But I think the goal here is, like you said, we just got to know our people and what drives them and what pushes them, and make it personal. It doesn't need to be a business 100% of the time. We can actually enjoy knowing each other here.
Ed, I can't read that. What does it say?
They are humans.
Oh, okay.
Well, I said this. I posted this on LinkedIn today. There's nothing wrong with having a relationship with your people that on your team. There's nothing wrong with that at all. If they know you're what you want to do, and you know what they want to do, and you have a mutual respect, they can hold themselves accountable for what you want them to do. That's a big thing.
It's finding that common ground. It's finding a way to connect. And what it said there, Ted, was they are humans. Make sure we are treating them as such. But think about this when we travel outside the country, or not even when we travel outside the country. When I travel up to see Jeremy in North Carolina and I meet someone else from Florida, there's a common ground there. And when that common ground's there, you create that friendship. You start talking. You start, well, have you seen here? You did this or whatever. Well, we can have those same common grounds with people that work for us as well. We have to be purposeful and going out and creating that. Let me rechange that word from purposeful to intentional. You have to be intentional to go out and connect with our people, find that common ground, and then show them that you're there to take care of them. You're there to help them develop. You're helping them to become the best version of themselves.
Absolutely. I'm jumping right in on that because I've been doing that for years. That's what turned my own personal life around and helped me business-wise. I didn't grow into a good parts and service director until I learned how to connect with my people. I used to just be about process, organization, and structure. This is the way we're going to do it. Can you do it? If you can't, get out. I'll get somebody else. I had to change my ways, right? I wasn't personal enough. So, sorry about that. I did that one. So, I learned, right? I wasn't a very good manager the first 2 or 3 times, but I'm going to tell you what the difference is. So with my team here at Bristol Honda, when I got here, they were dead in the water. They had nothing going on. They were just barely surviving. They have grown so much in the last 18 months together, right? Everybody sharing a vision, sharing a goal. Everybody's role is important. They have to know they're important. If you don't make them feel important, they're not going to care. So therefore, I got sick. We ain't missed a damn beat. We set 3 records in 5 months since I got sick. That's what I'm talking about. Process, organization, structure built with your teammates that want to pick up the slack. They know that I'm sick. So every one of them stepped up and pushed a little harder. I couldn't be any more grateful.
And what's it take to walk through a shop and get to know your technicians? And I know Ted will get mad at me if I say it, but to know what your technicians' wives' names are, to know what makes them tick, to know what their kids' names are, to know what they're doing at home. And the same thing goes for the general managers of the store too. What's it take to walk to the shop and say hello every day? Guys, it costs you nothing. It's free. And that means more to them than the pay raise half the time. Because again, to Ed's point, they're human. You got to treat them like they are.
It's the key to retention, Shawn Kingrey. That's the key to retention.
Hey, is anybody else doing retention bonuses?
We do here.
Okay.
We
I'm
do.
getting ready to hand out some big checks in December, and they've never got that before. They're all excited.
Yeah,
We just did ours last.
You guys will get some big money out of it.
We just did ours a Saturday earlier in the month, and it is tenure based and production based, and it's an additional bonus that helps them overcome the holidays. And
Exactly right. I'm going to hand out several $3,000-$4,000 checks. Easy, easy. Yeah.
Take that back to the panel, guys, with the young tech aspect of this. What's the difference we see between the older guys and the younger ones then with pushing this, the longevity and everything? I know for us here, it's a hurdle sometimes to get them to see the long roll of what's going to take to get into.
It's not a hurdle. It's a positive. You give them
we see it that way.
Yeah.
Getting them to come around to is what I'm saying. We have to sit down and structure it and show them probably a handful of times over the first 90 days to really get them to help understand exactly what the goal and process is for them. We set it up pretty straight out the door. We got it on paper. We have it full conversation about it. We do check-ins weekly and daily and then monthly for that first 90 days to really make sure they're kind of getting everything and understand it all. So I'm just interested what everybody else's view is on it.
Well, Robert, I think it goes back to how you interview. I go back to 2.5 years ago when I was still in Florida, sitting with an HR person who was in her mid to late 20s, and I made a comment that this person had, 10 jobs on their resume, and she said, "Shawn, it isn't like it was when you got older, when you were growing up. It's more work-life balance is more important to them than money now, and that's a mindset change that we have to make too. Again, they'll leave you in a second for work-life balance. It isn't about money. Yes, money makes the world go round. Yes, we all have to pay our bills." But if it's a grind and you're making them work 12 hours a day and they're not respected and treated like humans, like Ed said, they're not going to stay.
That's absolutely true. No question about that.
Don't disagree at all.
Yeah, that's that fine line because, when in the 90s, when you became a technician, it was acceptable for guys to cut you out and treat you like total dirt. And that's how you learned. You kind of eased into it. And I always had kids growing up, so I love making commission, but like Shawn said, it's not that anymore. I have hourly guys saying that they don't want to work 40 hours a week. He only wants to work 30 hours a week. And I was like, you know what? I can make it work because he's a solid kid. And, I still think that one day something's going to click in his mind that he's going to want to produce more money and he's going to get it because that's what normally happens when, they get that, like Robert has that growth plan. It's like there's going to be a point in your life where you mature and you start having a family and then, you need to make some more money and that opportunity is always there. That's what I kind of love about the automotive world because you can, the opportunity's there. It's just getting them to that point.
Jeremy, you made a comment there and the reason, and then I'll be quiet. It came up last week. We now, effective January 1st, are going to pay full benefits at 30 hours of work during 30 hours because that 4-day work week is what the new generation wants. And we were always, if you weren't 40 hours, you weren't eligible for health insurance. You weren't eligible for 401k. We're changing that to 30 hours January 1st.
Wow. Awesome.
Wow. Well, I think that patience is the biggest thing that we have for bringing along young technicians. I think that as you alluded to when we were growing up in this business, the management style was a little bit different and the expectations were a little bit different. And, get fired in a minute. And so having the patience, we're not all in the position that we are today. We probably owe some apologies to some former employees as we were learning on the job to become good managers and directors at this point. So giving the young guys and gals the time to mature and really understand the job. and if you're following up, like Robert, every 90 day or the first 90 days is very intensive. Just patience, empathy will get you the retention. And eventually they do come around and get a more full understanding of what the job is and how to make the money. And then life creeps in on them, and they go buy a new car and they get married and get some kids, and then they got to show up on time and put the work in. So, but patience, understanding, empathy is probably the biggest thing for retaining and getting the young guys and gals up to a place where they can really flourish.
That really hits home, Richard. That's very true.
Another thing is, in the world that we live in, we expect things to be instantaneous, and we have information at our fingertips instantaneously. This is a skilled trade. It's not taught instantaneously. We don't become good at it instantaneously. So developing people is a long-term plan. If you're only in it short-term, if you're not committed to where you're at, you're not going to create a plan that develops long-term. And once that ball starts rolling, it continues to roll. You just got to put the time in to get it there. But it's not an instantaneous reward. It's preparation for tomorrow, not today.
Good point. Good point, Ed.
Couldn't agree more, Ed. Yeah. How about the maturation of Blake? Is he such a great guy? I saw he's doing a phenomenal job. Man, just and how much time we put into that guy over the years, just amazing. And what a great kid. I mean, young man at this point, right? Fantastic.
He's on our mobile team, and you know what I think about mobile.
Yep.
And Richard, you worked in that market for some time, did you not? Give us a little backstory on that.
Yeah, we moved here to the Asheville, Western North Carolina area a couple of years ago, but practically neighbors with Ed for 25 years. And at one point, for a very brief period, maybe a year or so, I ran one of the neighboring Ford stores to Ed when it was acquired by the company that I was working for at the time. So, but yeah, very familiar with where Ed is and the great story that behind Bozard, and it's unmatched success, and just congratulations to you, Ed, for everything that you've done. Yeah.
Thank you. It's commitment, and what we do here, everything we do is duplicatable, and but it takes buy-in from not just the ones that's on this panel. It takes buy-in from our leadership team. It takes buy-in from everybody around us, and sometimes that buy-in has to happen from painting the vision. We can't just expect it to happen. We have to clearly express that vision, and then invite them into being a part of that vision. But there's nothing that we do that is not duplicatable. It is commitment by all, and everyone pushing in the same direction.
Very strong. Love it. I know, Ed, I spoke with Richard recently, and I spoke with a lot of other people. Bozard, as an organization and facility-wise as well, has come a long, long way. And you've created an environment there where people want to come. But like you said, the leadership team, yourself included, has really made it one of a kind.
It's a phenomenal team to be a part of. Richard is one of the few that knows what this place came from. And it was as recent as 16 years ago, it was a hellhole. And with rats looking over the rafters, looking down on the technicians on the dirt floors.
He is not lying. He is not lying. I call it a tractor shed. The one that was out there, it's like a tractor shed. I remember one of the little trolley trains are right across the street there. And I remember when I first moved there years and years ago, and I was like, "That's a Ford store? Oh my goodness!" And to see what it is today is just absolutely fantastic. And Jeff's been in the market for a long time. What a great team you guys have there.
Thank you.
Robert, Miggs, throughout the Carter Myers organization, what else are you seeing? I know you're heavily involved in a leadership role there in fixed operations, and I know you share best practices. Anything that you could share publicly with the audience?
So I think the big thing, obviously, we're talking about the young tech panel, and we're talking about meeting at their level. So, I mean, we're going in as far as the 8th grade level in middle schools, high schools, colleges, and a lot of these guys on this panel already do that, but those that are listening, if you're not, get involved in your local trade schools, get involved with the local colleges, get involved with the local schools in general, and see where you can come in and help and talk about the automotive industry in a whole, not just even being a technician. I know that's what we're here talking about today, but the automotive industry in a whole and what it can do for a good percentage of people that get into it. I mean, this is a lucrative business when you get into it. You can make the best of it, and it is really proof that the hard work pays off in this industry. And just a matter of getting in front of them, making them excited to want to work in the automotive industry, and then taking that capital of having our name in front of them for CMA, and then utilizing that to use the catalyst to grow them from our own store. And Ed does this on his own already and whatnot. So we're kind of underway of trying to kind of do similar things, but we're still getting them from the outside, getting them from the trade school era, and it's really just growing them. I mean, they don't know. Their parents are afraid to tell them to work in this industry a lot of the times, and it's a shame because it really does. It's a great industry. We've all done very well in it, and there's a lot of people below us that don't get on these panels, don't get in these meetings, that do just as well as us and whatnot. So it's just sharing the word. Thanks to you, Ted, and giving us a platform to keep sharing this out on the fixed operations side of things. Just it is an awesome business to be a part of. And nothing else, man. We have to take care of them and want them to do it, because if they're not here, we don't really have a place to be after this is done. If our guys start retiring and we don't have anything else to go with, so we got to make them excited about it.
Robert, Shawn Kingrey's got if I may, just real quick, Shawn, a lot of the workforce at Kaiser has been with you for a long time. I know you've really championed the young technicians with your efforts in Florida. What are you doing up there?
Really the same thing. It's funny. Next Tuesday and Wednesday, I have 2 complete days that are nothing more than tech schools. And then on the Wednesday, you talk about the 8th grade thing. There's 4,500 students. I was at it last year. And, you say you're not pulling a lot from that. It's not about pulling that. It's about pulling their parents, because the parents are there with them, which they may have a brother or sister, and it's a long-term thing. Literally, it's 2 days, which sounds like, okay, that's not a lot. But it really is. It's 2 complete days of just touring schools and then going to the convention center and being with the 8th graders. And you're right. We have more 40-year employees here than we don't have non-40-year employees. And those guys are going to retire soon enough. And they're already starting, quite frankly, within the last year. You got to find them. You got to replace them.
Go ahead, Shawn Butler. Just unmute.
I had something real quick. I got called a liar a little while ago from one of my young techs. And I was like, what are you talking about, dude? I was like, I've done everything I promised you. He was like, no, you lied to me about how much money I would make. And I said, what do you mean, dude? I said, I just did the payroll. You killed it. He was like, yeah. He told me in a couple of years I could make $2,500 a week. He goes, I made $2,700 last week. So you lied to me.
You can do that all day long, Shawn. I like that.
It is cool with Shawn and Robert, you're talking about being in the schools, because if, I was hesitant years ago to go into school because I thought it was so saturated with everybody wanting to be in there, but I'm finding out it's not the case. These shop teachers are wanting us to be involved and just sharing our story, because everybody's story is different, and you can match just that one person that you could resonate with if you're just available and, put yourself in those, into the tech schools and stuff like that. And even when we go to tech school, I try not even talking about the job. I'm just there to build relationships and find out what cars they drive and kind of, just talk trash to them, basically, which everybody at the dealership is highly skilled at. And it just creates that. And they remember you because everybody else is so structured and they're just talking about, it's great to work here, which is fine. But it's like what we always talked about. It's the relationship part of it. It's just building those bridges. And even if they don't join you, eventually they probably will. They'll just have a bad day and they remember you, and maybe they'll come back to you.
I did want to say one other thing, and that is that it's one at a time. It's one at a time. You don't have to get 4 technicians, 5 technicians. It's just one. And if you get, how much does you have a shop foreman or, a couple of really experienced technicians in your mix, and how much of a difference does one good technician make in your shop? And so for me anyway, it's one at a time. If you find that one good prospect You bring them in and you spend some time with them, really get them going one at a time. If you get one a year, I mean, 1, 2 a year, and you really bring them along, you're never going to be really short. And you're going to be, much, like the situation Ed's in, that, what is your percentage of guys in the shop are under 35 or something? Is some ridiculous number, right?
Go ahead, Ed. Give us the ridiculous. I think it's under 30, Ed.
65% of our techs are 35 or less, and then 30% or 60% of our total staff is 30 or less.
That's pretty strong.
Yes. That's developing tomorrow.
Good way.
And there's got to be real strong word on the street, word of mouth, in order to make that happen.
It is. And as you do that more and more, it continues to compound itself, and it makes it easier to recruit because people are recruiting for you. You don't have to run the ad. They go out and say, hey, there's an opportunity here. And it's not very often there's an opportunity. And when those opportunities present themselves, it allows you to be very, very, very selective. And that intensifies what we do and continues to compound it.
Well, great job.
Yeah, it's something to think about. This is getting a little tougher. In Hamilton, Ohio, there's a population of 62,000 people. They closed their trade school and went to county because less people were getting involved in that. It's very important that we do this now and stay on it because those leads are getting fewer and far between. My wife went to that school for auto mechanics.
Powerful panel, everybody. I want to thank all of you for being here today on the Young Tech panel. I also want to wish all of you a very happy Thanksgiving next week. Richard Lupo, Robert Migliaccio, Ed Roberts, Tony, Shawn Butler.
Great to be here.
Sean Kingrey and Jeremy Stevens. So great panel, great information, everybody. And very indebted to all of you for all you do for Fixed Ops. So the leaders, everybody here in Fixed Ops, the Young Tech panel at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Hi there. My name is Aaron Waters. I'm the president and founder here of OEM Interactive, the digital marketing firm that specializes in online parts and accessory sales. At OEM Interactive, our philosophy has always been very straightforward. Our people, our partners is our purpose. Our team is built of experts not only in marketing and advertising, but also in fixed operations. Our expertise and strategies are proven to supercharge your online parts and accessory sales. Sound good to you so far? Great. Head on over to oeminteractive.com to learn more about partnering with us. OEM Interactive. Sell more parts today.
Our next segment features a sales lady superhero from Dealer Pay, Julie Douglas.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Julie Douglas is with us. She's the president and sales lady extraordinaire at Dealer Pay, taking the industry by storm. Dealer Pay offers modern payment convenience and really so much more. Julie, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thanks, Ted. Thanks for having me.
Julie, I got to say, you've opened up a whole new avenue for our viewers, for our dealers, because you've got not just the fixed ops department involved, you've got the office and office managers involved in keeping them happy, and you've really paved the way for a lot of new solutions in our industry.
Yes. The solutions that we're putting in dealers now, the point of sale platform has grown quite a bit over the past 3 to 5 years, and it's really making some big changes for dealers in all the departments.
Earlier on the show, we heard that payments are one of the areas that are big focus on fixed ops and all the changes that are coming to payments. And Julie, it's not like you just started doing this a few months ago. You've been doing this for quite a while. Dealer Pay, your company, is a recommended provider by so many state associations. I know when I was out in Wisconsin with you, we met Bill from the Wisconsin Automobile and Truck Dealers Association. But Julie, you've got so many associations now, working with you and their dealers.
Yes, it's a great relationship. It's more of a partnership. So, these guys realize that, there's other players in the space, and they recommend Dealer Pay and myself, which, allows us to, use their logos and whatnot to show dealers that, we've been vetted against other providers, and that we were chosen as their partner. So we're very lucky to have those relationships. And, some of these dealers, we've worked with for, 20 plus years. It's kind of like family a little bit.
I see that. And to have that relationship and to be the recommended provider by these big state associations goes a long way. So Julie, congratulations to you. Let's talk about some of the things that you've done in this space as the superhero in modern payment convenience. I know maybe a year and a half ago, you were introduced, or I should say Tully Williams was introduced to you over at the Nilo company in Sacramento. He's one of the real life examples of how you have saved the day. And I want to talk a little bit with you about some of the solutions, the productivity and efficiency and customer satisfaction that you've helped companies like Nilo enhance in what they do. So I know when you got to Nilo and had a chance to look things over, one of the concerns, one of the problems, if you will, was that there were slow standalone terminals. There was a lack of technology or modernization. No fault of Tully's. I mean, this is real world, right? And the DMS integrations, were little to none, okay, for service and parts.
Yes, I think the exact quote was, "The process now is simple and easy for our advisors taking payments with their own terminals. It's faster, smoother with the CDK integration. Using our send payment request text and email program has helped them tremendously. And customers are more at ease. Office managers are happy and glad to have access to every transaction." So that comes from Tully. So thank you, Tully. But just because I worked this deal personally, they had some antiquated technology. They were using their bank. It was working. They were taking payments. There just was no technology or solution behind it. So this was very exciting for Dealer Pay to come in, give them some options. So each of their advisors would be able to take payments. Mobile is in Nilo as well. And I will tell you, even though we were going to focus more on fixed ops, the office was extremely happy to see this update. So thanks again.
Tully mentioned that was an important part of the solution, to make sure the office managers are happy. And I believe you had to, in going in there, you're right, the bank was doing these transactions, but I believe you had to win over some of the folks in the office. Talk to us about that, because that seems to be something that needs to happen at a lot of these dealerships.
Yeah, and it is common. So, a lot of times if I, gain interest from a manager in fixed ops, even though they like it, they, need to make sure the office likes it as well. So I had performed several demos for the office and fielded several questions And then it's ongoing support for these guys. And they've been wonderful. I think they were really excited about getting this product in place. And now that we've been in there for almost a year, I believe, everything's going smooth. So I'm really happy to report that.
And I saw on social media how your team goes in and does the implementation. So it's actually hands-on. You show the staff how to work the terminals and how to make all these things happen.
Yeah, I mean, my team is educated enough to know not just how to train them on how to use dealer pay, but put it in a real life dealer scenario so that they're explaining situations that can help the dealership be more efficient, productive, and also the best practices that come along with payment acceptance.
All right, let's talk about how you saved the day over in Middleburg Heights, Ohio, at Sunnyside Automotive Group for Laura Salvatore. And their problem was different. They had bad customer service across the board. Julie, what did dealer pay go in and do?
So we have a quote from Laura Salvatore, the service manager, that with dealer pay, we have multiple ways to get support, and it's always a fast response time. Their team is always willing to help, which is the #1 reason we chose dealer pay. That is wonderful. Yeah, like we mentioned before, we do a hands-on approach for implementation and training, but we also provide ongoing support. So different than some of our competition, they've got the ability to chat with us. We have a chat feature. They could submit a ticket all through the software, and obviously email, call, or text us. And my team is very direct, and we're all located in the United States, so we're not calling outside the US. So they're getting a friendly voice, and sometimes the same friendly voice, which is great. So I'm happy to hear that from Laura.
That's important, US-based customer service. And I'll go on to say that I've heard from some dealers that when they have a issue with transactions, credit cards, and so on, they have to call a toll-free number and they're put on hold. Julie, I know folks on the roundtable who reach out to your company, some even directly to Julie Douglas.
Yes, I mean, I am the president and CEO, but I field all the calls. I even field the occasional service call or support call. We just want to make sure dealers know how to get directly to us. And once we're involved, we're hands-on on trying to fix any problems just as fast as possible. But the good news about our system is it's very user-friendly, so we don't have a lot of support requests, which is also good.
By the way, that's Julie's email and her cell phone scrolling down below in the ticker. So you can text her, you can contact her very easily if you want to make the move or have questions about coming to modern payment convenience. Julie, by the way, you specialize in dealers. It's not like you do a whole bunch of other things, other businesses, and a little bit with dealers. You are a dealer built, if you will, solution.
Yes, the software that we've built, or the point of sale solution that we've built, is designed for dealers. So we're capturing ROs, we're capturing parts tickets, we're capturing deals, and all of these things, if chosen, can be linked to the DMS that the dealership uses. So it makes it very easy, quick, and convenient, and they don't have all these extra steps just to get a receivable collected.
Okay, let's go over to Illinois. To Hopkins Ford of Elgin, okay, and Ryan, the service manager. So the problem they had going in was, and by the way, a lot of dealers watching have similar challenges. They had overall challenges, if you will, with the transaction process, lack of simplicity, and response time. Talk to us about what dealer pay did there.
Yes, so we got a quote from Ryan, the service manager, that dealer pay is one of the easiest systems that he's used. We've even heard feedback from customers on how much they love the simplicity with making payments. And that's wonderful. I mean, that's just kind of what we talked about. Even though the software is jam-packed with a lot of functionality, a lot of that is happening behind the scenes. So the user's experience is very simple. They can navigate, the software for whichever type of transaction they're processing. And I think they mentioned the customer convenience. I mean, that's all about the text and email payment links that we do. It just makes the customer feel like they're in control or not being forced to pay a certain way that maybe they don't want to. So.
And I'm going to venture to say that 99% of service bills are paid by credit card. Am I pretty close with that number?
You're pretty close. It may be like 98%, but a good amount. The concept of checks, believe it or not, is still there, and we do process those electronically as well. But electronic payments for the most part is credit card.
Okay, let's go over to Michigan, Ypsilanti, Michigan. My favorite, Fisher Honda, from Becky Riley, the general manager. And I'm wondering if you see this problem often: older technology out there, and of course lack of. By the way, that's a common theme: lack of support, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the bigger processors just, they don't have a handle on anything specific to, their merchants. So you have to go through that call queue, which I heard from someone yesterday about. They were like 3 days before they got a response. So that's not okay.
Big time, that's not okay. Julie, what about transaction and parts? Okay, can you help with that as well?
Absolutely, and that's really one of our specialties. So with the system, you can process parts tickets ahead of time, whereas if you are delivering them, you can access the customer record directly from our safe, send them a payment request, or even use our mobile solution where you can capture payments in person, COD, with the client. There's some future development we're working on with imaging checks and some really good stuff, but mobile is where it's at. Even if it's not delivery and you just want to move around the dealership, that is also something that we're doing with DP Moves is what it's called.
Everybody, if your payment solution is archaic or you feel that it's out of touch, you need to speak with Julie Douglas at Dealer Pay. I'm looking at the quote from Becky Riley at Fisher Honda, Julie, and she says in here, and I'll quote her: "Most importantly, our customers absolutely love the option to pay by text." Tell us more about that.
Yeah, it's that convenience factor. So if the RO or parts ticket is ready for payment, instead of them even having to come in the dealership, or even if they're in the dealership and there's a line, they can text this payment link to the customer, and they are also getting a copy of the RO or parts ticket, so they can see the invoice and what the bill is for on a line item basis, and they can click to pay. And we've got the resources for them to pay by card, check, PayPal, Venmo, and also we've partnered with Dignify for buy now, pay later as a tender type. So it's giving them options, which is what these guys like. So.
What about if I can just branch out a little bit? And by the way, for dealers watching, if you're tired of the office manager coming in, being frustrated with collecting those receipts throughout the dealership, you need to speak with Julie Douglas at Dealer Pay. Julie, what about on the F&I side? Because you're dealership wide. How do you help with collecting payments, perhaps there?
Same with deals. Sometimes a deal isn't in the DMS yet if you have a new customer that just wants to put a deposit or down payment on a vehicle. So we're allowing them to collect that same technology. They can send a payment request or do it in-house. But it's very convenient. So once the deal is added to the DMS, then we're linking that transaction. So you talk about the office. A lot of times you have finance transactions for a few $1,000s here or there that they can't match to what vehicle or customer it was. In Dealer Pay, that's never going to happen because we're always capturing all the data on the customer as well as the user that processed the transaction. So it's not a hide and seek game anymore. It's all right there for them to see.
Julie, Dealer Pay's been in business how many years?
10 plus, yeah.
So is there any scenario I would imagine that you have not yet seen, or because I imagine you've seen or heard pretty much everything out there that could happen in the car industry?
Yeah, and I think that's what's helped me really mold this product the way that it is because I've seen and heard all the complaints out there and challenges these guys face with respect to payment acceptance, and we just really want to make it easy for them, but also is extremely effective. There's parts in our software that help save them money. There's parts in our software that prevent them taking fraudulent transactions, which is a thing right now as we're around the holidays. So we're just, kind of doing our best to keep the dealers and each of their users, buttoned up when it comes to payment acceptance.
I'm thinking we should do a show called Ask Julie and have the audience ask questions on different scenarios they have and have you answer them live. I think that'd be a winner, Julie. So
that would be a winner. We should look at that.
I'm looking at that. Okay. So Ford, Dodge, Lincoln, Toyota out in Iowa. Okay. Kyle, the parts manager, the problem there, limited options to collect payments and slow transaction times. What did you do for them?
So it looks like Kyle, the parts manager, said dealer pay really helps in the parts department. We have a lot of orders, even from other dealerships. They make it easy to process payments from their safe or sending the payment request, which speeds up the process. It's very fast, all in all, an excellent system. So thank you, Kyle, for that. So he referenced parts as well. So a lot of times parts have a lot of repeat business or business-to-business transactions. So he had mentioned our safe. So we do have something called a safe, which is basically a vault of all their customers, which we can associate a payment with. So they can access this person's payment information and bill them as needed. We see this a lot in parts. We see this a lot even in accounting for collecting receivables. So it's a secure way for them to process that transaction while staying fully PCI compliant.
All right, Julie, one more way that dealer pay has helped recover the stolen or missing hours by helping with payments. Offenburg Automotive Group over in Illinois. The problem here, how common is this? Lost receipts and accounting frustrations and having to call customers to collect payments. Wow. I mean, how real world is that?
Yes, there are some holes out there. I hate to see, there be issues where, the work was done on a vehicle or a part was delivered, but we're still not collecting the payment. But it does happen. I see it all the time because there's no process that ensures that it's collected. And that's one of the things that we do. I believe the quote right here is now any employee can pull up dealer pay and even view the signature on the transaction. Wow. They can hand key, but their favorite is send payment request. We send a lot of ROs to local colleges. So this makes it very easy and the customers think it's neat. So that's also really great. So again, we want to 100% make sure these dealers are getting paid and there's no holes in the process from when you start the repair order until it's closed and collected. So that's something that I'm happy to report. I worked the Offenburg deal myself as well, and this was a big upgrade. They also just started using our pay share solution, which is surcharging. And they've even updated to their CDK integration. So these guys are about to just increase productivity across the board. So I'm happy to be a part of it.
You handle a lot of these dealers and these yourself, okay, where you've actually gone in and you are the sales lady extraordinaire, but you've actually helped answer questions and help construct the deal and put it together and customize it, I guess, if you will, for the dealer.
Yes, I do. And, every dealer has their unique problems or situations that may not be similar to their neighbors. So, we go at it with the approach, tell me what you're doing, tell me what's not working, tell me what causes frustrations with your customers. And then we apply the specific components of our point of sale solution to help resolve that. There's a lot of dealers that still, are afraid of technology. And I think the concept that's in their mind is that it's going to be hard or it's going to be complicated. And it's actually quite the opposite. So, if there's dealers out there that are worried that maybe they do have outdated terminals or outdated processes for collecting payments, believe it or not, Ted, it could actually be costing them more money by not upgrading.
All right, everybody. Julie Douglas can come to the rescue and save the day. She's the president of DealerPay.com. She does business with a lot of Fixed Ops Roundtable dealers. She's throughout the automotive industry. She is recommended by so many state associations and picking up more as we speak and just taking the industry by storm. So, Julie, you're a dealer-specific payment solution. You help with a lot of concerns. If our audience has questions, maybe like some of the concerns that some of these folks that you just had, which are wonderful, how you resolve them. What's the best way for people to reach out to you, Julie?
You can call or text me directly. Email is always great too. So 314-578-3142 or julie@dealer-pay.com.
And of course, you can go to the website. You see it there online, everybody, dealer-pay.com. Julie's a great friend of the retail community. Julie, on behalf of the Fixed Ops Roundtable, I want to wish you and your family a very happy Thanksgiving next week.
Thank you, Ted. I appreciate it.
Everybody, the best in the business, Julie Douglas from Dealer Pay here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Hello, my name is Julie Douglas, president of Dealer Pay. For more than 20 years, we've been working exclusively with dealers to process electronic transactions. We've developed a dealer-specific payments and point-of-sale solution designed to help dealers be more profitable, productive, and successful. The reason our solutions have been proven effective is that we understand the dynamics of accepting payments in each department and can offer customized solutions that guarantees to exceed your expectations. Our point-of-sale solutions provide customers with multiple ways to pay. With a strong emphasis on both security and modern technology, we cover all aspects of the purchase and the last experience your customer has in the dealership. It's important to us that your customers are satisfied and your dealership is properly funded for every sales transaction. We are advocates for dealers and recommended in the industry. Let us help you get set up with a seamless transition. Contact me directly. Julie Douglas, Dealer Pay. Fast, organized, secure.
What are your superpowers? Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable Automotive Avengers event.
We're taking customer service to the next level on our next segment with Reynolds & Reynolds and Northwood University.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. I'm so excited about this segment because we're joined by Cole Briggs with Northwood University, a student in the graduate program who is heading up a lot of responsibility with the auto show at Northwood University this week. And we're also joined by Ryan McGinty of Reynolds & Reynolds to talk about customer service. Welcome to the Roundtable.
Thank you. And Sarah, anytime you and I can be in a segment with Cole Briggs, we never want to lose an opportunity like that. So, by the way, congratulations to you on the success of the auto show and all the great work you're doing.
Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you, sir.
So you've got an amazing relationship here, Cole, with the Reynolds & Reynolds and Company. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that, Ryan, if I can. Sure. Sarah mentioned, your specialty at Reynolds. Tell us how Reynolds is taking customer service to the next level, because we see it happening now around us in this evolving world of retail.
Sure. As a senior manager of utilization, one of the things that I do is work with team members who are in car dealerships across the country on a regular basis, and working with the dealers and their staff to utilize the software that they have. We want them to be as successful as possible, and so we are putting people boots on the ground, in other words, to help make sure that that's happening. But there are really three key points to Reynolds & Reynolds and making sure that we are supporting our customers. First, there's self-service. Reynolds & Reynolds has built into our software easy access for our customers to be able to find manuals for the software, have videos that they can go to if they need to learn how to do something in the system on their own, and we have the ability to do what's called computer-assisted instructions. Okay. Those are courses that allow the dealership staff to go in and learn the software on their own. This is all on demand, and it's within one click within the software. The second is going to be reactive support. And reactive support is the call center, the technical assistance center. We have a world-class technical assistance center. We're told time and time again how everybody in the center knows what they're talking about and responds quickly. So that's our reactive side. And then the one that's closest to me is going to be the comprehensive utilization side, okay? And with that, we have created, over the past 2 years, we've created a new department called Customer Success Services. And within Customer Success Services, we've created a new role of something called an RPM, a Reynolds Performance Manager. And their sole purpose is to be in stores helping with software utilization, and helping our dealerships understand how to use the software that they have.
Ryan, I would love for you to expand on that a little bit, because I've heard the term RPM, and I'd love to hear, like, so what is a day in the life of an RPM, and how do they support?
Sure. So an RPM, they are highly skilled individuals who have extreme knowledge of the automotive industry. They have extreme knowledge of how dealerships function, and they are very well versed in how all of the Reynolds software applications function together. So they are local to dealerships. They're going to be in the dealerships on a regular basis, and they're going to be working with the management team. They're going to be working with end users. They're going to be really holding hands with the dealer, making sure that everything that they have, they're utilizing to its fullest extent. Our main goal is to make sure that our dealers are efficient and profitable. And so the RPM role is designed just to do that.
You know, Cole, I'm learning a whole lot this week at Northwood University. And I mean, you are doing business and have associations with world-class companies like Reynolds and Reynolds.
It's incredible. It's a great opportunity.
And for your students, what an opportunity.
Exactly.
It's amazing. I have to ask, Ryan, too, as a student, we learn, you know, a bunch of different concepts about customer service and how important that is. But from somebody in industry, what is something that's impactful to a student that we can learn about customer service before we get out in there?
Ooh, that's a great question. You know, I would say doing what's right for the customer is probably one of the most important things.
Okay.
We have taken a really big stance on making sure that we are doing what's right for our customers when they come to us. And that's part of the reason we created the Reynolds Performance Manager role. We have heard feedback that dealers don't know what they don't know.
Right.
Honestly, that's not acceptable to us. We want to make sure that when a dealer has the software, they know how to utilize it and they utilize it to its fullest extent. So doing what's best for the customer is probably one of the best things you can take away in any industry, but that's one thing that Reynolds is trying to do to the fullest extent.
Duly noted. Thank you.
Yeah. Ryan, I like that a whole lot, and that really speaks volumes about what Reynolds and Reynolds is all about today and the support that you provide to your world-class dealers as well. How have dealerships responded to this level of customer service that you're providing right now?
Good question, Ted. To be fully honest and transparent, they love it. I have an RPM named Stosh Jones who's in Chicago, and he had a dealer write an email asking for help with utilization of the Area Ignite software. They asked for help with reporting, and they asked for help with tracking how their dealership employees are utilizing the software. And they said in the email that they never would have been able to come to the conclusions and set the goals that they have without Stosh. Because what Stosh ultimately did was build that relationship with the dealer, and they were able to set goals through what's called a utilization analysis. Right. And the utilization analysis is something that a Reynolds Performance Manager can perform with the dealer to lay the groundwork for the next 9 to 12 months, and then they'll do it all over again the next year. But really, we want to work hand in hand with the dealers to make sure that they are getting as much as they can out of the software, they're efficient, they're profitable, and they know that we are in a partnership with them.
Ryan, I know there's probably a lot of dealers listening to this segment today. And because Reynolds and Reynolds touches so many facets of their departments and in operation, for our dealers listening, how does a dealership get in touch with an RPM? What do they need to do to ultimately connect with them?
Sure, good question. You know, Reynolds is going to be investing in the RPM program for the long haul. And so to get in touch, I recommend reaching out to your account manager, and we'll get the ball rolling in that regards. But bottom line, you know, our president, Chris Walsh, has always said that one of the main priorities of Reynolds and Reynolds is to make sure our customers are successful. And so that's why we've created the RPM role, and we are going to continue to make sure that we invest in that role and anything that we can to ultimately make our customers as successful as possible.
Two of the great names in our industry, everybody, Northwood University and the Reynolds and Reynolds Company. Ryan, I want to thank you on behalf of the Fixed Ops Roundtable for all that you do.
Thank you.
For Fixed Ops as well, because that is paramount right now, what's happening. And Cole, thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
I'm Ted Ings. I'm here with Sarah Vantine. We're at the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and we will be right back.
As consumer buying habits evolve, it's only natural for your dealership to grow too. The key is providing a seamless, engaging experience for your customers while also ensuring long-term dealership success. Introducing Retail Anywhere, a dealership-wide process that enables you to meet your customers' needs without sacrificing what's really important to you: profitability, accuracy, and efficiency. Here's what this looks like in the service department. A customer visits your website to schedule a service appointment. She's able to view current vehicle information, past vehicle repairs, needed maintenance, and previously declined work. With the click of a button, she selects repairs needed and schedules a service appointment. She arrives for her appointment, bypasses the line at the counter, and easily checks in by scanning her mobile QR code at a self-service kiosk. She also selects 2 add-ons offered to her and drops off her keys. As the technician performs the multi-point inspection, he tracks recommended work electronically. He links images and videos of repairs to the digital RO and lets the advisor know the inspection is complete. Pricing and parts availability are automatically tied to the digital RO, so the advisor simply sends a link to the customer to review and approve the work. When the customer receives the link, she is able to see all recommended repairs, including pictures and videos of her vehicle. She accepts one of the jobs, but declines the other. At the dealership, the advisor, technician, and parts department receive the customer's updates, and the approved work is started right away. Declined work is flagged for future opportunities. Once the work is completed, the customer receives another text alert with a link to view her invoice. She pays securely online and heads to the dealership to pick up her vehicle. It's after the service department is closed, so she checks out using a kiosk and receives her keys. Retail Anywhere is built on a single system, single process approach. It allows customers to schedule, review, and approve work on their terms, whether in-store, online, or both, while still allowing your dealership to retain profitability, accuracy, and efficiency. Retail Anywhere, without sacrificing anything.
The Fixed Ops Roundtable Certified Program is designed to help preferred dealers and partners with powerful tools and resources.
Learn more at fixedopsroundtablecertified.com.
Calling all bookworms. Join Sarah Vantine and Ted Ings as they speak with author Ed Roberts about his new book, Mile 1.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings, and we are excited to be discussing Ed Roberts' new book. Ed, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Glad to talk about it. It's been a process and nearing the end of the journey.
Well, Ed, we're very grateful to all that you do for our industry. I got to ask you, what prompted you to write the book?
That's actually a long story, but I'll keep it short. People's been telling me for about 20 years that you should write a book, Ed. And I thought, there's no way that this guy will write a book. It just didn't seem like it was something in my wheelhouse. But about 10 years ago, I started writing notes down. I said, if I ever retire and decide that I want to put something together, or at least have some notes to reflect back on. And late last year, or actually middle of last year, kind of got pushed over that edge a little bit by a couple different things that's happened. And so it's time to write a book. And so I took those notes and turned it into a 13-chapter book, really breaking down what allows us to be effective leaders. And I wrote it in a format that it doesn't necessarily just tie to the automotive industry, because in any industry, it's all about people and developing our people and allowing them to see that they're capable of more than what they've done. And so hopefully it'll become a little more widespread than just automotive.
But it sounds like you've been working on it for quite some time. What prompted you to write this now and publish it now?
I always say that there's no time like the present. And finally I had to look in the mirror a bit on that, because that's something I've put off for quite some time, been pressured for quite some time. And I was listening to a friend of mine's book late last year, and I said, you know what? It's time for me to do it. So I picked up the phone, pushed pause, picked up the phone, called the author of that book and says, you've inspired me to write my book. So here we go.
I know you and I always share stories. You always have a lot of examples and stories to tell. I'm sure you've included a couple of those in the book. Anyone that you'd like to share with us today?
There is a few stories in there, certainly. I'm going to leave the audience in suspense on those stories, but I will certainly tell the audience that you can do whatever you put your mind to. I came from very humble beginnings and was told no several times trying to get into any industry, and then finally got an opportunity, and it has been a whirlwind since. And I've been blessed, and truly what it is, Ted, is it's bringing attitude and effort every single day. And those are two things that we control without any other influence.
But this is so exciting, and I know a lot of people are going to be eager to read it. How do you hope that this book is going to be able to help others?
I hope those people can, as they read the book, can connect with it and find a way to, if they can just pull something. There's 13 chapters. If they can pull something out of one of them and make them better humans, then we've all won. And it's not that we all win, it's their team wins as well.
Ed Roberts is all about helping others in an industry, helping others grow, helping them succeed. Everybody, we highly recommend a copy of the book, Ed Roberts. Ed, congratulations to you on all your success and all that continues going forward.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Ed.
Yes.
Ed Roberts with us, everybody. Don't go away. We have a lot more coming up at the third pop-up event here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
The service directors and BG are teaming up for our next segment, filmed live at our pop-up event at the DePaula Auto Group in Albany.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. We are here at the fourth pop-up event in Albany, New York with the DePaula Automotive Group. I'm joined today by the service leaders, included with them not only Tom Restino, the Vice President of Operations at DePaula Automotive Group, but Jay Young, who is the BG distributor here with Deposit Control Systems. Everybody, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thanks for having us, Ted.
Jay, we know who you are. Tom, if you would, starting with Tom, introduce yourselves and what you do here at DePaula.
Tom Zachmeyer. I'm the Service Director for DePaula Malta.
Justin Dwyer, Service Director for DePaula Ford.
Dennis Walters, Service Director for DePaula Chevrolet.
Well, love it. And Jay, you interact with everybody here on the panel as well.
Yes, I do on a regular basis. I've known them all for quite a few years, and we work together, always in the lane training. What's nice about this, they represent 3 different manufacturers, and all those manufacturers are basically going after the same thing. We have internal combustion chamber deposits we're going after, try to keep these vehicles running clean, free of deposits, and it's a great working team here to work with.
I walked through the shop yesterday, all 3 shops, okay, and I couldn't help but notice the BG machines that are in there. Gentlemen, starting with Tom, tell us a little bit about the support you receive from BG and the training, and a little bit about the relationship with BG here at the local level.
Yeah, well, I've been in the business 30 years, and BG has been a constant the entire time I've been there and worked with them since the beginning. The training they offer, the knowledge they offer our advisors that we can share with our customers on how to best service their vehicles is it's the best in the business. So it's the support we get is outstanding.
Well, love it. That's over at Mazda. Justin, how about over at Ford?
So at Ford, it's a great retention tool with my customers because BG's been in the business for a long time and it shows great value, and it just helps us maintain the vehicles for the customers, and also with the technicians, it makes them better tech in the long run.
Well, I love it. And Dennis, over at Chevrolet.
Yeah, I've known Jay for what, 20 plus years? Don't know, 20 plus years, but it's service, anything that breaks in the shop, any of the machines, or we need any type of chemicals that we run out of, he's there. The training is there, hands down the best with the advisors, and the technicians love it because he brings pizza with him when he comes in. So, but yeah, all around great job.
You know, Tom, you've got a great leadership team here, you know, not just in service, but in parts and throughout. We're meeting everybody today. But talk to us a little bit about that special relationship that DePaula has with BG here at the local level.
Oh, as I said before, we go back well over 20 years with BG, and it's just the support level from the owner down is just tremendous. I mean, it's just, for many years, there's a little story I had originally where we had, how it all started, but it was just a great relationship. And when I get attached to someone in a relationship like that, in a business relationship, and as long as they're good to us, I don't break it. And somebody else can come in with cheaper price or anything like that. It's all about relationship. That's the key point to us that we have with BG. The reporting is tremendous, and the people coming through the door, and whenever we need anything, it's just tremendous. You can't beat it. I mean, you know, the different other vendors out there, we don't want to deal with it. We wouldn't even do a display or a promo or whatever, a demonstration, because I don't want to deal with it. We're happy because they make us happy.
Jay, these gentlemen are seeing a lot of change happening in the industry. I'm going to ask them about that next. But talk to us about, you know, with all the evolution that's happening now in our industry, you know, how BG is keeping ahead, you know, in terms of all those things and the technology, because it's really not just a product. It's really partners beyond products, from what I hear.
It is, Ted. And well, what key to that is we don't want to let the uncommon become common at the dealership fixed ops level. And that's why we're constantly in the lanes training. And as I stated earlier and talked to some of the guys before, you know, today's technology is a little bit different than our mom and pa's technology, where, again, we used to be able to come in and do tune-ups at 30, 60, 90,000 miles. And now there's no tune-ups on engines today. It's just a keep clean technology. So, you know, today's tune-up is a cleanup. And that's why we offer the fuel services at the oil change intervals and also at some of your higher mileage vehicles also. And then we just focus on fluid exchanges, you know, every 30 to 50,000 miles, let's take a look at your fluids, check out the condition, present it to the customers, and let them make a decision how they want to protect their investment, because it is a big investment. It's a beautiful vehicles that we have back here today, so you want to protect them.
Tom, I see that all of us are wearing our lanyards today. I saw the advisors this morning checking out tires when the service doors opened up. We heard a little bit from Jay about the relationship with BG. I've also heard from your techs and from the writers about the transparency tools, like the videos that technicians are doing, the whiteboards, and how you're keeping track with that. Talk to us a little bit about that transparency.
Yeah, I mean, transparency is the most important thing we do. Everything, the minute the customer comes in, we're checking their tires, we're checking their alignment, we're showing them their specs, walking around the customer. When they get the video showing what the mechanic is working on their car. So that's our number one thing, is to make sure we're transparent. The customer understands everything that's going on, because we need to keep them informed. Most people come in a little bit on edge and not sure about a dealership, but we make sure that they can trust us.
You know what, Justin, that's such a big word. One of the advisors, Lisa, mentioned that earlier today. You know, trust. It takes time to build that trust. And I saw on the drive this morning, you're doing all these things to build trust, looking at tires, looking under the hood, the videos that Tom just mentioned as well, the transparency. Talk to us about some of the things that you're doing and why you do them.
So being transparent with our customers, it only builds value with our service, and it's a way to be consistent with our service, right? We'd like to be consistent with our walkarounds and the same process all the way through. That way it builds trust, and that way our customers we retain our customers, and they come back for the same service every single time because we're so consistent.
Dennis, your thoughts on that?
The video is huge.
It's transparency, of course, but it's a quality video. We've had some of our technicians doing a video and they go too quick, and we pull them in and talk to them and say, listen, this is a tool for you to show the customer to sell that additional services. So you have to be clear, crisp with that, and basically it speaks for itself, transparency.
Well, Tom, how do you keep track of all these videos and making sure that the customer's receiving them and that the advisor is talking about it?
That's up to the managers, but you're going to look at the view rate, and that's the important thing. We measure through KPIs. Each store has their KPIs, but in Mazda, it's Mazda's philosophy, and I'm going to bring what they believe in, is that you want to have your technicians at 100% video. And then there's going to be a percentage view rate. And we measure view rate because that's where our factory monies come from. I mean, it's not all about the CSI with Mazda. It's about service, and they're trying to build up the transparency. We were doing it far before Mazda was doing it because we have had iService, and we measure it that way. You want to measure who views the video, and that measures the salesmanship of the consultant. If the consultant has the highest rating, that tells he's talking about the video. And the other piece about the video is that there's a texting piece with it. A lot of people are busy today, and how do they demonstrate, how do they work? Is they're not on their phones, they're texting. And you'll be able to sell that job so much quicker, those additional service requests, than before, because why pick up a phone when you can text? Go ahead and do it. And a lot of them have pricing right on it. But it keeps the consumer happy. You can't lie, because everything's text. It's like a legal document. So you know when you got that approval, it's all there. And use it. And I'd rather have them use that than use the phone. Just text, because it's so much easier. And you're not tying it up.
Chargeable piece.
Yeah.
Dennis, isn't it amazing? You know, with all that's happening, it's a relationship business where you're using these technology tools, which the consumer is very comfortable in using. I would imagine that once a customer gets that video, as an example, they're going to expect that every time they come back here to DePaula.
They'll let you know when they don't get a video as well.
They say, well,
it's it's got to be consistent 100% with the walk around, with the technicians in the shop. It has to be done, because once they get it the first time, they're looking for it the second time. So it's a great tool.
Jay, I guess bottom line, consistency is the name of the game in our service business. What do you think?
Absolutely, it is. And again, having a good product. As Tom mentioned, pricing and competition. One thing about BG, we develop a product that fixes the car, and it helps the technicians and service managers address that concern, and then we'll put a price on it, and we'll go from there. But, that's why we have over 50% market share in this industry, because of our product and chemistry, and our R&D is the best in the business.
Say it again. Market share is how much?
Over 50% market share in the business.
That's unheard of.
Yeah, it is unheard of. And again, it goes back to our chemistry, our over 800 reps that we have out there, and it's constant training. And again, it's not letting that uncommon become common in your dealership, because we constantly have to change and educate.
Well, I want to thank the service leaders here at DePaula Automotive Group for your time today. Great information. Jay, I want to thank you. I want to thank BG Products, Partners Beyond Products, for all you do at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. And stay with us, everybody. We have a lot more coming up. We're here in Albany, New York, at the third pop-up event at the DePaula Automotive Group. Don't go away.
Yeah.
This panel will help you rethink the way you manage customer communications. Get ready for the Volie panel up next.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. It's a great honor to present the roundtable with Scott Davis from Volie. You'll recognize some of the folks on the screen today. Tully Williams is here, Meaghan Cooper is here, and Kim, how do I pronounce your last name?
It's Grubb.
Kim Grubb is here as well. So everybody, if you would, Scott, start with you. Tell us who you are and what you do and where you work.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ted. Good afternoon, everyone. Scott Davis, president of Volie. We have BDC software that dealers and call centers use to communicate with their customers. Our mission is to create software that people love to use that makes it easy to communicate with their customers, and that's what we work to do. So glad to be on today. Thanks, Ted.
Scott, thanks for being here. Tully, who are you?
Coming out from the West Coast, Tully Williams from the great Nilo Company in Sacramento, California.
Super. And Meaghan, if you would.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Meaghan Cooper. I am the founder and CEO of InFocus Solutions. We are a virtual BDC and marketing company. We have about 80 agents that are located all throughout the U.S., and we work in automotive and RV industries primarily. And we do a little bit of everything too. We call everyone and anyone. So happy to be here.
Yeah, great to have you. Thank you. And Scott speaks very highly of you. And Scott and Meaghan, what's the relationship? How did you folks meet, and how do you know each other?
Well, InFocus uses Volie, and so what we love about Volie is that we say that Volie can standardize our customization. So we work with several hundred dealers throughout the U.S., and so everyone needs just a little something different. So Volie is able to make it so that we can make it easy on our agents in order to really convert traffic and drive appointments to our dealers.
I love it. And just so you all know, the number one topic at the Fixed Ops Roundtable for the last 2 years has been the phones. All right. And it is a hot, important topic. We're hearing about it all the time. Kim, if you would, tell us who you are and what you do.
I'm Kimberly Grubb. I'm based in Oklahoma for the Cooper Auto Group, where I am the Director of Communication and Customer Experience.
And Kim, you've got a unique background on the service side of the business. If you would tell us about that.
Well, just the quickest synopsis I can do is started in sales in 1999, realized, yeah, I liked it, but I was always in the service department talking to my customers and realized that I really liked that aspect. And then one thing led to another, and I'm a service manager and service director. And then we decided to do this. And with all of that combined, it seemed like a logical choice to head up a centralized call center for the fixed operations.
Tully, you and I have had a lot of conversations about the phones and the work you're doing there at the Nilo Company. Your thoughts on hiring the right agent who will convert and being able to convert.
We love to hire within. So I believe it starts with, cashiers have kind of gone away from us today, because since we're self-cashiering, but it really comes down to, I call coordinators and BDC agents. And I think that when we look at hiring people is that we want to bring them in, right? Start them off at simple things and then see if they're ready to make that great leap, right? So there's an interview process because everybody says I can answer the phone. Okay, then there's, I can answer the phone nicely, and then I can answer the phone and ask for something, right? So I think the goal is that we want to bring them in, tell them about the Nilo culture, right? Watch them, learn them, teach them, train them, coach them before we make that leap, before we put them in our BDC center. We've had great success. And then what happens when they go in there, they're already are known by the BDC. The BDC already knows those gals or guys are coming in, right? So we have that relationship already started. And then the coaching and mentoring starts all over again. So I believe start on a lower level, and then bring them into the main level is my goal.
Meaghan, you're really a specialist at this, and you do this all over the country with a lot of dealerships. I'm interested in your perspective on hiring that right person.
So the first thing that we look at when we look at who we're going to hire is what they're going to be calling. So an agent that's calling to tell a customer about their open recall is different than a declined service call. So that declined service call has to be a little bit more salesy than, hi, my name is Meaghan and you have an open recall. When would you like to schedule that today? So if there is somebody that applies that maybe doesn't have any experience, but there's an open seat on a team that can really get their feet wet in the BDC arena, then we're going to hire that person based upon, you know, their personality, whether or not they can ask twice, if they have that tenacity, versus a campaign that has to have a little bit more background and experience. So those ones that are those more salesy campaigns, for example, a declined service campaign, they need to have some background when we hire them. And then from there, as Tully mentioned, you know, we train accordingly. You know, then we take these agents and we train them for 2 weeks. We have them sit with our senior agents and our team leads to really get them coached up and also keep them in a controlled environment. But I definitely recommend, when you're hiring for teams and when you're hiring for your BDC, look at specifically what they're going to be dialing when you're hiring them based upon their background. Some, they don't necessarily need to have any experience. They just need to be a good worker.
And Meaghan, I'm hearing that phrase virtual BDC now a whole lot in the industry, especially it seems recently, okay, in the last few months. Meaghan, that really seems to be coming on strong.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, I definitely believe that it was going there anyways, but COVID catapulted us forward. And so dealers are definitely looking at BDC companies, and anybody in the dealership is looking at that kind of model too, because let's face it, people run out of time. You can have the greatest BDC and there's only so much time in a day. So it doesn't mean that the BDC folks at the dealership are doing anything wrong. There's just a lot of data out there. And a lot of times we can, you know, virtual BDC companies can come in, and we use software like Volie to make us really efficient and come in and back up those great dealership BD agents and call the people that they just don't have time to get to. And we can, you know, do that very efficiently through certain platforms like Volie.
Kim, you're overseeing a big dealer group there. You got a lot of nameplates, a lot of franchises. How do you hire the right agent who's going to convert, and how do you train them?
Well, what I've noticed is when I hire for personality, I seem to get more longevity out of that employee. And, you know, if we're good at what we're doing, we can train them to follow process and do things the right way. If we notice in them that spark, you know, that empathy, that bubbling spirit, that's what I'm more interested in, and how they sound, and are they a self-starter? So for me, it's been hire for personality, train for talent. Wow.
And again, give us the nameplates that you've got there and approximately how many agents working.
I have 10 agents working for the dealerships, making appointments and outbound calls. And then I have 2 customer satisfaction agents that do a completely different job. And we have 3 Ford stores, Lincoln, BMW Mini, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram, and Chevrolet Cadillac.
Scott, this is a great topic, and I've never seen it more timely than today.
Yeah. I mean, these guys are the experts on here. When we look across all of the dealerships and businesses that we work with, there's one common theme, and it's something bigger than the job itself. I always have this theory that people start out perfect until we ruin them. You know, everyone wants to do a good job. We can say what we want, but everyone dreams. Everyone wants to be successful in life. And so the dealerships that really do a good job, and the businesses in general that really do a good job, are the ones who make it bigger than what they're doing. They let them know how they fit into the grand scheme. They're on the front lines. Kim told me, I mean, they're handling millions of dollars in business every month, these people every month. And so the good BDCs that I see who keep agents for a long time, they let the people know their value. They don't treat the jobs as disposable. they give them a future in the company, and they help them strive to move forward. It's the key. It is the number one theme that I can see from the successful BDCs to the bad ones, to the good call centers that subscribe to us to the bad ones. It's the same thing in both.
I want to follow up with Kim and then Meaghan. Kim, I assume you're using the Volie software there at
Absolutely
at the Auto Group. What are some of the benefits, and we said in the green room? I heard that you fought to have Volie there at your group. Tell us a little bit about that and why you did that and believe so strongly in it.
Well, in the positions that we're in, how many emails do we get every day? How many phone calls? Hey, I've got this product, try it. And it got to where I turned a blind eye to everything. And then another colleague that speaks in our auto group spoke very highly of Volie and just said, just give them a chance. Just let them make their presentation. And Scott, you made me feel bad last time we had a meeting. I feel like I was mean to you, and I'm not mean. So, but now I'm the biggest rah-rah for Volie that there could be, just because of the changes that it has created in my own business.
I love it. And Meaghan, you've got to see a lot of solutions out there as well. Why Volie?
Well, besides the partnership that we have, I love the support that I get from Volie. It's very interactive. If there's a problem that's outside the box that maybe we've never come across before, we really put our heads together to figure out how to solve for it. But beyond all of that, which should be important to any vendor or any dealer that's looking for a solution, there's a couple of different things that I think Volie, sets Volie apart. And that is the way that we're able to manage our call queues, and also the way that we're able to specify for each campaign and each organization, and the way that we're able to feed data back. That really just makes us efficient from both the administrative side and then also on the agent side to, again, really, dial for dollars and be able to cultivate the gold from the massive lists that we have.
Mm-hmm. Tully, this is really different than what you and I have seen out there. I know a few months back, you and I were watching a presentation that Scott Davis did, and it was chocked full of nuggets. I mean, a lot of data, a lot of calls, a lot of research, and Tully was really well put together.
It was. I think that when you look at a lot of stores think that we have a BDC because I have someone behind the counter that answers the phone and says, I'll get the service writer for you. Okay, that's not a BDC. A BDC, and then you look at the amount of calls that come in and we do a great job answering at 65%. Okay, that's not a BDC either. And I think when you look at the data set that comes in at your store and all these people that are going to leave you, as I like to say, we're in the repeat referral business. Phones are your key issue here. And you need to know how to work those phones properly with the most trained success. And what we found out is our BDC agents is our prized possessions at our stores. Our service writers all of a sudden now think these people in the back are the greatest people since sliced bread because they're making those great appointments for them, right? And we keep it regulated. We have an X-Time product that keeps everything in check, so nothing will be overbooked. That's the key issue. We just want to have great appointments coming in their driveway so everybody stays busy. With proper data and with a proper program, you can make it happen. If you do not have that information, BDCs fail miserably. And that's what we don't want. We want these things to turn in to be superstars. And now our agents are superstars. We run contests. They're chasing lunches all the time. We just make it fun in the back for these gals to be strong success as we bring our other stores into our group. We're super excited.
Tully, could you imagine, is it possible that a dealership, I guess it is possible, that they would not have a service BDC in today's age, but that those objections are really going away little by little. And, it's really obvious that the need for this is strong.
I think the issue has to be is that dealers are sales managers and general managers are sales managers, right? And general managers are sales managers. They're not a fixed ops manager. And I think that when they realize, and thanks to you to bringing fixed up to the top, is that they realize that, oh my God, if I have a whole bunch of appointments in the service drive, I'll sell more cars down the road. And guess what? We now can get these great programs to help us drive repeat and referral business, because they realize if our retention in our store is 70 plus, we're going to sell all the cars we ever imagined. And if we gain customers and keep them in our service drive, we're going to sell more cars. And then guess what we do? We sell more cars to their friends and family. So the fixed ops drives retention for the sales department. And I now see that dealers and general managers are seeing that success. And that's why BDCs are a huge success in fixed. Sales has always had them, just because we're a sales organization. Fixed has not always had them. And I see today is that you're almost you can't operate without them, is the way I see it.
Scott, I also recognize that Volie does not have a one-size-fits-all approach. You really custom this to the client. Tell us a little bit about that, because I thought that's really unique about one of the things you do.
Well, I mean, we tried not to paint ourselves into a corner. Every business is different. They have different objectives and different goals. So our goal is to help the call center or the dealer BDC be able to make the right call at the right time with the right person, inbound, outbound, and we pretty much centered everything around that. It is Tully's comments, by the way, they're so right. There are reasons why you would maybe not. Maybe you'd send some of the calls to Meaghan, or maybe you do it all in house. Those are all totally legitimate. But the days of the service advisors telling someone wait and while they're at the counter, those are pretty much over. So,
Meaghan, middle of the day, how hands-on should managers be? Come the middle of the day, because there's peaks and valleys, and a lot of work required here.
Absolutely. And I think if you look at the data at the end of the day, it's kind of like looking at your data at the end of the month. It's a little too late, right? Mm-hmm. So it's important for managers to be heavily involved throughout the day, whether it's walking the floor, seeing what they can hear, or whether it's listening to phone calls and doing, what we call to be calibration sessions, where you kind of calibrate the agent and have them listen to themselves and then stop that call and say, okay, great job, right? Because you have to not just look at the bad, you have to celebrate the good, right? And reward the good, but also provide coaching points, and leaving, either an open meeting or an open door policy, whether you're remote or you're in the dealership, to make sure that people can ask you on the fly questions and make sure that you can take those live time TOs when they need help. So one of the most important things that an agent can know, whether it's, whatever time of day it is that not only will I be held accountable, but I'll also get that support when I need it. Because if it's only a culture of accountability, then it's almost a fear culture, right? So you have to also know that, hey, this is the process when you need help. When you need help, this is who you go to, and this is the expectations that we're going to hold you accountable to, and we're going to marry those two together to get where we're going collectively.
Wow, love it.
Yeah, agree.
Kim, following up with you, how do we improve performance during the course of the day?
What I found is, our valleys seem to be that time right before 11 o'clock, the lunchtime, and then from about 1 to 3. But those are also my opportunities where I can listen to calls. I can take 10 calls and send them to an agent and have them do their own self-assessment and then come in and talk to me about it. What's also great is whenever I'm watching that real-time screen and I see somebody's call go longer than about 3 minutes, that's kind of a trigger. I need to go see what's up. Why is that call taking so long? And I can stand there and listen, because my team is in the next room. And I can listen and see where maybe I can help them in the future. Or if that call needs to be TO'd, if it's just one of those calls.
And Kim, we hear so much about making those outbound, the importance of making those outbound calls. Volie really prompts the agent to make that next call and to move on. Talk to us about that.
I'm telling you, that was the main thing for me that I have noticed a huge improvement. We refer to ourselves as the shrimp net of the auto group, because we're going behind and we're picking up all these little bits and pieces. And we were doing a really, really good job. Now we are doing a great job. We have increased our outbound appointments by 75%, and they now make up about 20% of our total appointments for the month.
Well, I love the 10 spots, and I'm going to be emailing Kimberly for the 10 points. So I think when we look at our word tracks, we didn't have 10 spots. So I really love that idea, but we want the call taker to make it their own in our umbrella. And I think that that's really helped them, because if we tell them, you must say this, it's going to be a horrible call. But if we say we're looking to say these things, what we found out is that they grab it and it's their phone call. And we've had great success with that. So we having the basic script of what we're getting across has been a massive success for us.
Yeah. And these guys do have scripts, Tully and Kim. They're not saying don't have scripts. I mean, what they're saying is get a base level that the agent can own, and then they can get really personal on the call. And that's really the key.
Yeah.
Kim, as a follow up with you, how do you recognize if a bad agent, if there's such a thing, is able to be trained or to improve if they're, let's say, a bad fit?
Well, and we all hate it when it happens, because when we hire that person, we're like, this is the next greatest thing. And sometimes it's just not for them. They're excited. You're excited. They've got a great personality, but maybe they just don't have that inner drive to keep as busy as they need to be during the day. If the work is there, and they're looking on their phones, that's not very productive. So what I do is I have 3 levels of tiered bonuses. So I have 3 different levels. I expect you to reach tier 1. I mean, that's just a given. Tier 2, you get quite a bit extra in bonus. Tier 3 is almost 3 times the original bonus. So I've got a couple of people that never miss tier 3. I've got a few people that are always continually tier 2-ish. And then if somebody hasn't reached that minimum within a 90-day period, any of those months, they're needing help. So after that first month, I assign them a mentor. We listen to calls. We partner them up with somebody else to listen to their calls, and them listen to theirs, so that because even though they're in a room together, they might not really be listening to what everybody else is saying that's making them successful, because they've got their own track. And then after that second month, it's a lot more one-on-one with me. It's meeting every week, turning in different plans of information and what am I going to do to change things. And then finally, if it's been 90 days, it's a probationary period. And we realize and usually come to the discovery between myself and the employee that it's just not for them. And if there's something else in the dealer group that they think they would thrive at, or I think they would, I'll help them move along. We've done that.
All right. Last question for today, everybody. Before we wrap, I'll ask each of you this. What is the number one thing you can do today? And I know our audience wants to know this, to improve the number of leads that you convert. So Meaghan, if it's all right, I'll start with you, and I'll come to Kimberly and then Tully and then Scott to bring it home. No audio.
Yeah, darn it.
Oh, hold on. Okay. Try it again.
No.
I thought we had it there for a moment.
We'll have you on again, Meaghan.
All right, stay with us. Stay with us. Don't go away, because I want to keep the video box open. Kimberly, I'll come to you with that same question. Number one thing you can do today to improve the number of leads you convert.
What I've noticed is quality of leads. And that is making sure that the service managers and the GMs are supporting the BDC as a whole department. And it's not us and them, it's all of us. We are the dealer group, and getting us that access to those OEM sites so that we can go in and look at the recalls, look at what parts are available, we can go in and see retention lists and, those telematic lists from, Ford Pass and BMW Teleservice. Those are golden, and we can pull those at any time. And those are quality, good leads. That customer needs service. It's time.
Tully, number one thing you can do today to improve the number of leads you convert.
Kimberly, spot on. I think the best lead you can have is OEM leads. By none, these are the best leads, verbatim. Next is good recall leads. Usually the manufacturer can give those, but there's also third parties that can help you with that. And then the next is, because if you're doing quality recommendation from your inspections, is that we'll be calling back our red declines, right? Or not today's is what I like to call them.
Mm-hmm.
Those are quality leads. I'm not after like this person hasn't been in here in 45 years and it's a purple car. I just don't think that's the call we want to call today. But if we work on the lists that we have in our DMS today and work those lists and just make sure that we remind them that we love them and want them to come back in, that's usually just enough.
Scott Davis, I'll ask you to bring it home.
Sure. I've got a couple things. I couldn't stop with just one, but my B idea is make it easy for your agents to convert it. So have rebuttal scripts handy, have add-on services handy, have whatever cheat sheet your fix ops director can give for tires, those things, have them all handy for the agents. Make it easy for them to sell. Okay, so I violate this all the time myself on demos and such, but the number one thing, and I can tell you, you listen to 10 calls and you want to blow your brains out. It's so hard listening to them. The number one thing you can do is teach your agents to slow down and work on listening, period. Get them to slow down, because customers need service, every single one of them. They have to buy service. They just don't have to buy it from you. So, if this is a career for the agents, and we know that they can really help the dealership and themselves, they will have the viewpoint that they're doing the customer a favor by calling them. So take the time on a call, listen to them, really teach on active listening skills, and listen to what they need. We looked at it. We had this 10 million call study that you and Tully referenced earlier. 91,200 people told the agent they weren't interested and then came in the next 90 days out of the outbound calls that they reached. Well, they were just a not right now. If you had taken a little more time, would they have said, no, I don't need service, but I'm going to need it in a month? You could have helped them then and saved them another call to the dealership.
Mm-hmm.
So just take a little more time. How many people did you miss because you didn't take the time with them, and they were not a no, they were not right now, and when they thought of it, they got a Jiffy Lube commercial or a coupon or whatever. So just really get every agent to slow down. We work on cell phones. Cell phones you can go half as fast when you're talking to someone on a cell phone or on Zoom or anything like this than you can back and forth, and you tend to overtalk people. So just slow down, make sure they're always done, and then teach them to listen. People want to buy, so we've got to help them buy. Hey, one last thing, I forgot to say it. I can't read my own writing, but train your agents to leave friendly voicemails. I looked at one of our dealer groups recently. Last week, they made 5,000 outbound attempts. They spoke with 2,000 of them. But then the 3,000 they didn't get, over a couple week period, 1,000 of those people called back. So train your people to make friendly voicemails. People don't mail in those voicemails and don't hang up on them. So I guess, well, guys, that was 3 things. So I'm sorry for going over there.
Everybody, Volie is the leader in the industry. We're very grateful to have Scott Davis from Volie with us. Scott, if our audience wants to reach out for more information, I see the volie.com website. I see, looks like your email, and I see a phone number on there as well. I guess those are the best ways to reach out.
Yeah. We're here. We love what we do. And with or without Volie, we'll help you if you have any questions.
Great resource, everybody. I want to thank Meaghan Cooper, Kim Grubb, Tully Williams of the Nilo Company, and Scott Davis from Volie for being with us today. Great session, everybody. Thank you. And I want to wish all of you and your families a very happy Thanksgiving next week. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you for having us.
Everybody, Scott Davis and the panel at Volie here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
My spidey senses are tingling. Up next, we've got the Automotive Warranty Network panel.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. We have assembled a team of retail experts to talk about warranty administration and the benefits. David Reinicke is the president of Automotive Warranty Network. He's joined today by Jim Sabino from All American Ford Group in New Jersey, Ed Roberts from Bozard Ford Lincoln in sunny Florida, and Shawn Kingrey from the Kaiser Automotive Group in sunny Wisconsin. Everybody, thank you for being here with us. And David, actually excited about this topic because I know there's a lot we're going to uncover today as it pertains to warranty at the dealership level. So
that's what we know. So that's what we like to talk about. So appreciate everybody taking the time to do so.
And appreciate Spider-Man being with us today, David, as well.
Yeah.
So, very humbled.
Took the opportunity to dress up. It's just a couple weeks past Halloween. I had it sitting around, so figured to have some fun with it.
Well, here we go. Let's talk to these automotive Avengers. Ed Roberts, I'll start the conversation with you, and all of you as dealership group leaders. What is most important to you when you think about your warranty processing solution? Ed, is it speed, accuracy, maximizing dollars, all the above, or something else?
It's absolutely all the above. All of us writes a high number of tickets every day, and there's a lot of dollars that gets tied up in that, and that's cash flow. And so the accuracy of the schedule, the currency of the schedule, being processed every single day. There's all of it ties together to.
Hello.
You have to cut that part out real quick.
I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good. Laura's making things happen. She's the one that cleaned up that big old giant mess in here yesterday.
Someone's got to do it.
There's no problem.
Yeah.
All right. Ed, let me ask you the question again.
Perfect.
Ed, and I'll pick it up. Is it speed, accuracy, maximizing dollars, all the above, or something else?
It's all the above. It's cash flow. Cash flow is key. I mean, dealerships pump a lot of cash in and out of here, and every one of us on this call create a lot of repair orders every single day. And in warranty, it's the dealer's dollars that is spent until it is paid by the manufacturer. So we need to keep that cash flowing in and out. And so it's all of it. We need to make sure that they're every single day, and that nobody's calling in. schedule's accurate and current. And it needs to be accurate to where we're not only just getting paid, but we don't have to worry about somebody coming back and taking the money back from us.
And Ed, I couldn't help but notice that just a few weeks ago when you closed the month of October, congratulations to you on the great success, the big numbers coming out of Beaux-Arts. That's going to mean a lot more units in operation and a lot more warranty dollars to process.
Well, we write a lot of repair orders today, but that doesn't come into equation with the number of repair orders that we're going to write tomorrow. We're our foot's on the gas. We've been blessed with a lot of growth, and we're looking forward to what that does. And yes, we've been the number one Ford store in the country the last couple of months, or not in the country, in the Southeast, and number 7 in the country the last couple of months. And but we're on a mission. So foot's on the gas, more repair orders, cash flow's got to go. We got to be there as well.
Did I see 800 units thereabouts in October?
Absolutely. And only for us to be chasing that this month and try to outrun it again. And records are made to be broken. And so set a record in September, set a record in October, and looking to close out another one here this month.
Love it. Shawn Kingrey, what's most important to you when you think about warranty processing?
Well, I'll follow up with Sir Ed and said the same thing. Is obviously it's all three, it's all the above. And I think you can't also weigh into the fact of getting the technician paid. There's nothing worse than having a tech come in tomorrow and not getting flagged for the car that kicked his rear end all day yesterday. He already knows he's going to take a beating on it. And if it's not flagged, it just starts the day off bad. So I don't think you can overstate that about the importance of getting the tech paid on time so they know where they are. And it also goes into your morning coaching with the technician. If you're looking at their hours and where they're pacing for the week, and you've got warranty claims sitting out there, and I know we talk about Julie Douglas with dealer pay and all those other things, but also, guys, as Ed said, you got cash flow with controllers. If you got a lot of money tied up in warranty, guys, that doesn't work. I mean, you got to have cash flow, and you got to get them paid quickly.
So you're saying that wouldn't make you necessarily the favorite of the controller?
No, it wouldn't make you the favorite. And as you know, we're all domestic, and I've got warranty labor rates now at $298, and I brag about that at $300. Guys, that's huge cash money, huge cash flow. You can't have that stuff sitting idle. You got to get paid.
Yeah, I agree. Jim, Sabino, welcome to the conversation. First time we've had a chance to talk to you about warranty processing. What are your thoughts on what's most important to you?
Yes, thanks, Ted. So obviously, to echo Shawn and Ed, spot on. All three are just as important as either one of them. Nobody takes a priority in that pecking order. Cash flow, efficiency of processing the claims to get paid, to get funded from the manufacturer, the accuracy of the claims, getting exactly what you're entitled to. I always tell my people and the manufacturer reps that I come in contact with is that I want every penny I deserve and not a penny more. That's all I'm looking for. I just want to get exactly what we are entitled to. The tech gets his time based on his write-up, the diagnosis. The parts are marked up properly as set, as per your state and your agreement with your manufacturer, and any type of additional M time that we call it in our world over here that is paid for any abnormal diagnosis or anything out of the normal outside repair. So the efficiency of the claims being submitted to the manufacturer for payment is very critical, and the accuracy of the claims that are being, handed over to be administrated is key, because that just prevents it from being kicked back for a correction, whether it be a one-time use part that's missing documentation from the technician, not enough parts or missing parts on the parts line for the repair that the technician stated that he did. So there's a lot of variables, a lot of moving parts, and it's a very, very thought out methodical procedure that needs to be done to keep the cash flow moving in a healthy position for the dealership, for the accounting department, your controller. There's a lot. Your warranty schedule, there's a lot of variables, which I'm sure we're all gonna touch on those as we get deeper into this conversation, but they are all important. Correct.
Shawn, as a follow-up, let me come back to you. You deal with several domestic nameplates there. Are the manufacturers looking, would you think, harder than ever before at some of these warranty processing claims to put through?
Ted, that's a great question. And again, we'll talk about the Chrysler side for a second. I know David does a ton of business with Ford, but right now everything's getting stuck in review status. and it'll sit in review status for 30 or 60 or 90 days. And that's holding up your cash flow, and you get controllers. And by the way, these are things, as we talked on the panel when we were in Orlando, guys, these are things as simple as recalls, things that you have to do that are simple and repetitive, and they're still getting stuck in that review status. And the more and more the way the labor rates are getting set by state, and again, we're in a very generous state when it comes to labor rates. Now they're setting them, and Jim talked about TT time or 00 time or M time, whatever you want to call it. The claims are getting more frequent in those. So you're claiming more of that time, which has to be reviewed and approved. And again, your warranty status, whether it's premium or whatever your manufacturer is, if you're not at the top level and you're at a base level, listen, you can't replace a spark plug without permission. So to answer your question, Ted, I don't know that it's ever been closer scrutinized than it is now. The manufacturers want to keep what they've got.
Ed, do you want to weigh in, Ed Roberts, on that?
Restate the question there. Sorry.
Are the manufacturers looking hard and fast at warranty, perhaps more than ever before?
They are. I mean, look back at September, October. We had a strike with 3 of the major manufacturers, and that affected their cash flow as well. And if they can slow down the payment process to us dealers by putting another layer in there, then it helps their position. And so certainly, but really the reality is we need to make sure our stuff's right. And if we make sure our stuff's right, they're going to pay us. And if they want to put a layer in there to make sure that it's right, they have the right to do that. And we got to be able to follow that. And when you got a guy like David, where he's got a team of people, and that's what they do every single day, is if something's changed or whatever else, they bring everybody up to speed on that, rather than our guys find out 2 months later when this claim is not getting paid for whatever reason, and there's 12 of them right behind it. It's already addressed in front of us. But yes.
David, there's a lot of good points here, some that I hadn't even thought about, when we crafted some of these questions.
Yeah, there's a lot of points to make, and it highlights the importance of it. And there is a lot of scrutiny on it right now. And Shawn, I'll go to your comment about your labor rate. I mean, I think the labor rates are climbing, and I've talked about this on other panels that we've done before, but our average client now does anywhere between $1 million and $2 million of warranty revenue, every year, and we have some that do over $1 million a month. So when you talk about those high dollars and protecting those dollars, I think accuracy is very important to make sure all the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed. We have all the diag readings, measurements, results, everything that's needed to make sure that claim is claimable and we can get it paid timely, but also kept in the event of an audit, because again, those are really big numbers. And, going back to what I've talked about before, I mean, we're really big on helping a dealership safeguard that money and making sure that when the manufacturer comes in to scrutinize that work down the road, that it's kept. So I think accuracy is very important. Obviously, working with the amount of dealerships we do, the next thing is paying your technicians and making sure they're paid timely. I mean, they're your commodity, right? They're the ones fixing the vehicles, so we want to make sure that they're paid and happy and flagged, properly. So, I think that's a very important one, and it was really, really important to everybody on this panel. So, obviously, is a warranty company, and I'm sure if you have an in-house admin, it's very important that they make sure they pay your technicians properly and timely, and we make sure that they're happy, right? So, so I think all of those are very important. And then, of course, the speed is very important too of the processing, because as we talked about with Chrysler, and Ford has their own metrics. I mean, the manufacturers are weighing dealerships on these metrics. So how quickly are you submitting a claim? Is it going through? Is it getting paid the first time through, or are you having to throw it against the wall to see if it sticks? So all those metrics are very important, and that goes into the accuracy and speed of processing a claim. So it's really kind of gotten to be kind of a science, if you will, a little bit. So,
David, I was going to use that term. The manufacturers have really made it into a science, because they may not call it a scorecard, but they've really got something similar to a scorecard on how every dealer is performing in terms of this metric. And David, they're very watchful for that, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think, with data in general these days, I mean, everything gets weighed and measured, and, you can really come up with a metric for, anything that goes through the system. So even if they're not weighing something today, they have all the information to weigh it down the road if they'd like. So it's really important to make sure that everything's done right. Even down to, you don't want to send a claim through this way and then do the correction and then send it through another way, because that can be looked at as, was adjusted or modified or whatever the case may be. So I think all these points are very important, and go into doing this process properly and ultimately being successful all the way around with the warranty process. So,
gentlemen, I've had the great benefit of spending time at each of your dealerships. And I want to come to each of you, starting with Ed Roberts first. Ed, got a big operation there going on between Ford and Lincoln. I don't know whether you've ever considered outsourcing your warranty admin process, but if so, what are some of the pros and cons that dealers such as yourself need to weigh versus doing it in-house versus outsourced, that you want to share with us today?
Well, a lot of times we think as far as a dealer that a paid claim, and the warranty administrators think this as well, a paid claim is an accurate claim. Well, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's accurate, and we need to make sure that we retain the money. The last time we did this, we talked a lot about audits and what leads up to audits. Well, there is things that we can do to satisfy that claim and get it paid, but it doesn't necessarily make it correct. And so having someone that understands the system the best is not only correcting the claim, but to get paid, but they're ensuring that we get to keep the money and minimizing our chance of an audit. But also, if we do get an audit, they're there to support us through it. They're there to say, hey, here's the reason why we did this, rather than just hanging us out to dry and saying, well, okay, well, we didn't know that. So there's tons of benefits that comes from it. And I can't emphasize enough the timeliness of the claim payment. There's a lot of cash that we flow through these things, and there's $47 billion that these manufacturers spend on warranty annually, and that is cash flow. And that $47 billion starts off as our money before we get refunded back or get credited back from the manufacturer.
Shawn, you've led some big dealer groups in the past. Your new dealer group here, fairly new, right? Past year or so. What are some of the pros and cons of in-house versus outsourced that you've considered?
So, Ted, in my previous life in Florida, I had 22 stores. I outsourced it all. I outsourced all 22 stores. And I'll tell you where I struggled, and we'll get to where I'm at now, is warranty administrators, historically, naturally, whatever you want to call it, they forget who they work for. I hate to tell you this. They forget that Ed Roberts is Bozar Ford, and that's who's paying their bill. They forget that Jim Sabino's the one paying their bills. They think they work for the manufacturer, and they start to side with them, and they start to take shortcuts, as Ed said, to get the claim paid. They think that's the answer because they get a relationship with the rep, and that's how they do it. And historically, that's what warranty administrators do. So here, and I know Jim, and we were going to talk about it, is I'm in a unique situation. When I came here, it's been a year now officially, is I brought warranty in-house. At the time, we only had 7 stores. I had they were doing warranty in 7 different ways. I brought 2 guys in-house. They're just down the hallway from me. They work directly for me, and they do all 7 stores for all 3 manufacturers. It works very, very well. Then we buy a store in Janesville, and that's our number 2 producing store, and they were using David's service, by the way, and it's working so well, I have no desire to change it, to be very honest with you. It's streamlined. It works well. It's a General Motors store, and we all like to pick on Ford and Ed and the way that the Ford does their warranty. GM's warranty is no better, by the way. They have more steps and more signatures and punch times and everything else than anybody else does, and it's working so well, I wouldn't change it. And to be very honest with you, Ted, if one of my 2 guys that are sitting right down the hallway from me left, I'd outsource it. I would outsource group wide.
I appreciate that feedback, Shawn. I'm glad we're doing a good job for you there. So
couldn't be happier in Janesville, quite frankly.
I'll touch on that for a second as well. It's a one-stop shop. I'll help the audience. There's only so many things that we can focus on at one time. And so parts department is usually some of our least trained people, and the next least trained people in the dealership is warranty administration, and it puts us very much at risk. And we can, with outsourcing it with a company like David, you take that off the plate and you can shift your priorities to something else that you can work on and make progress on working on the business rather than working in the business to keep things being processed.
Yeah. David, I was going to follow up and say that, here's a 25, 26 year employee. Okay. But as time goes on, okay, that's changing, and that's not, necessarily the most desirable position, at the dealership level. And at some point, David, dealers are looking at, making a decision, when those employees retire and move on and so forth. Speak to us about that, if you would.
Yeah, so we actually get a lot of clients through that, and through employees that are retiring that have been there, like you said, for 25, 26, whatever, however many years. And rather than replace or train up again, they want to just turn it over to a service like us and have us handle the headache. And, we have some dealer groups that they've just completely eliminated the warranty admin position, and they just solely use our company. So anytime they acquire a new store, they just plug us in, and it's worry-free for them. They let us deal with the headache of hiring people, vacation time, sick time, all that kind of stuff. We just, but I don't begrudge any dealership that has a working system. I always truly say I want a dealership to be successful in what they're doing. So Shawn, in your case, if you've got good people in there that know what they're doing and they're doing a great job for you, I'd never try to convince you to come to our service and we just want to truly help dealerships that don't have a working system and help them develop something that's going to work. So there was a lot of good points made through this last bit of conversation. Jim, I want to touch first on what you said about the partnership, because we believe so much in that and how important that is. And we really try to differentiate ourselves from a traditional vendor and being a partner, because, we're not just, processing paperwork. In the event of an audit, we're going to be standing there by your side. We're going to take responsibility and accountability for the work that was done. And at the end of the day, we want to make sure your people are happy. So that term partnership is super important to us for sure. So I really appreciate that comment.
Sure.
And again, not to, if you have something in place that's working for you, we want you to truly be successful, but we're always here if you need us. Some of the other benefits to outsourcing that it sounds like everybody's kind of aware of is, with our company specifically, you don't just get one person. I mean, we do give you a dedicated warranty administrator, and kind of like it was mentioned earlier, I know some dealerships have a hard time with the concept that I don't have an office to walk into to talk to the warranty administrator. I don't have a face to see, but we are always a phone call away, and we do give you a dedicated person, the same person every single day working your account. You also get a team behind that, so you get a team leader that oversees that person that's also involved with your account. So there's a lot of knowledge that you get with using an outsourced company. And of course, we always have the backup department that covers our employees if they're ever out sick or anything like that. So those are kind of the benefits, but ultimately, we just want everybody to be successful in what they're doing. So,
Ed, I'm hearing a lot about complexity in the warranty process, and that's not getting any easier. It's getting more complicated, and staying on top of all the rules and what you can claim and what you can't is really, it's getting tough to do all that. Have one person do it all.
It is, like Shawn said earlier, there's so many different layers. It doesn't matter the manufacturer. And for the audience, again, if you have multiple points, with having a source like David, you got one source handling all those points for you. And they have a team of people that are able to lean on each other. It's like going to the mom and pop store that only has one technician. Maybe he can find the problem, maybe he can't, but then you go somewhere else and they got a few people they can bounce ideas off of. Well, that's exactly what they're doing there. When they run into obstacles as well, we all do. And when they do, they have people, they have resources, they have people they can lean on to help bail themselves out. And they have connections with the manufacturer to get a clear understanding of what the new rules are when they do change something up.
That's another good point to make too. We've through our ethical operations and our bandwidth with most manufacturers, we have developed relationships with, excuse me, factory reps, the manufacturers. So we do have a good reputation with a lot of manufacturers there as well. So, so there's, again, like we've been talking about, pros and cons, and
there's no question about it. Your service takes a lot of pain points out of our daily business. As Ed said before, let's focus on the business and a lot of these pain points. And warranty administration is sometimes viewed upon as a pain point because it is very complex. It's very at times time consuming, where you get the big involved claims with the electrical on some of these EV vehicles, or the tech hotline is involved in, and there's 3 pages of chatter between the technician and the technical hotline that needs to be attached to that claim to support all the M time that's being asked for. So there is a lot. So your service and your team of people, like Ed was saying, there's a whole team to rely on. That's to me is a pain point that is welcome to be taken off my plate and not have to worry about that. And the partnership, knowing that, hey, my success is your success and vice versa. So if you can get that claim paid, I'm whole with my money, we move on to the next task. And the other ones are just repetitive. The maintenance claims, repetitive recall claims, those are very, very simple, simplistic claims, in and out, couple of keystrokes and you're done. But the other ones that are very, very involved, which there have been a lot, the big engines, transmissions, diesels, EVs, those are pain points that are welcome to a company like you that would take that over and say, hey, we got this, and we're going to process these claims because that's what we do. That's what we specialize in.
Well, and on that point, if we have, we also see in our network where if we're doing 150 other Ford stores, likely we've run into that situation a couple of times with other stores. So it's not like we're dealing with it, on these one-off occasions.
No.
We've seen it before. So, we're, usually we have experience dealing with it. So.
No, of course. Yeah. That your expertise is going to just take that over because you've seen it. You've seen it at a dealer in Texas or in California or in Florida or in New Hampshire. You've seen that happen. So where we can only see what happens under our roof. You see what happens over 1,200 rooftops of your current client list. So, and that's again across all manufacturers. So it's a very complex job. That's not a very sexy, appealing job. So, it's hard to get somebody with that kind of knowledge. And then the ramp up time of training is also very long term. It's not 2 or 3 months. It's years in the makings when you get into these very complex, and then the manufacturer changing up the program once in a while on you. So you always have to be versed on that, as you know, all the changes that happen.
Shawn and Ed, I'll give you the last word on this topic. Shawn first.
Well, all right. So, the one thing I think we missed in that David's outsourcing as a whole, like I did in Florida, and like I do with here, is when you have somebody in-house, and I'm not saying that everybody's this way, but like with General Motors, with all the signatures that are required and the miles out. And again, audits don't scare me. Audits don't scare me at all, because if you do the right thing every time, you have nothing to worry about. Not that I want to be audited, but if I'm going to be audited, it's not going to be because of fraud. But the things that outsourcing and what David's team does is they make sure that the miles are out there. They make sure the signatures are in the right spot. They don't do what Ed said earlier. You just do what you got to do to get the claim paid. They make sure the claim is paid and it's right. Because quite frankly, and I'm not here to give David's resume, guys, if you get audited, they stand behind it. If you get audited and get charged back because they missed a signature, they stand behind that. So again, I like outsourcing. Yes, I brought it in-house because I had the individuals here to do it for the stores that I had at the time. But again, I also outsourced to one of my stores. So
yeah. Ed Roberts.
There's opportunity for all of us to see whether it's something that can enhance our business or not. But think about this for a minute. We all need more technicians than we have. And a paid technician is more likely to be a happy technician. And so we all have people take vacations and they call in sick and all those things. Those things are going to happen. That's part of dealing with people, and it's part of life. And that's what we want them to do. We want them to enjoy their life outside of work. Well, we can't go a week without paying a technician, because if we do, they're not a happy technician anymore. They're coming in here busting their tail. As Shawn stated earlier, they got hung up on something. They're hoping to at least get something out of it, and they come in and they didn't get nothing. Now they feel like they got to go fight for it. And then in addition, we talked about a claim getting paid and being able to keep the money, but also it's a write-off expense too. Sometimes we file a claim, we get it paid, but we only get a percentage of it paid because we didn't administer it correctly, and it becomes a write-off. So we have to pay our warranty administrators. We do have policy expense. Those things tie together, and you can weigh it out and say what works best for us as a company. And there's resources like David out there that just takes that off your hands and allows you to focus on something else.
David, how do we find out more? AWN is the biggest in the field. How do dealers watching take the next step?
Yeah, I mean, you can always reach out to us via our website. At the bottom there, aw9c.com. There's a contact us page. There's information about our company. There's references from hundreds of clients that they've been gracious enough to give us a glowing review. So, again, there's a contact form on our website, or you can call into the main switch there, listed at the bottom of the screen, or you can always email me directly. And I always say it, I know I've said it on these panels before, but we're not salesy. So even if you just have a question, you want to ask something about warranty and you don't want us to bother you, every day for the next 2 months, give us a call. We're happy to help and answer any questions we can for you. So.
Everybody, Automotive Warranty Network is a certified partner of the Fixed Ops Roundtable. David Reinicke is on our advisory board. And David, grateful to you. And I want to wish you, your family, Jim, you and your family, Shawn, Ed Roberts, you and your families, a very happy Thanksgiving next week coming up here.
Same to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving to y'all.
All right.
Yes, thank you, guys.
Everybody, David Reinicke, Automotive Warranty Network, please reach out. You'll see his email scrolling at the bottom, awninc.com. The Automotive Warranty Network panel here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Automotive Warranty Network is the largest and most experienced manufacturer's warranty claims processing company and warranty resource in the world. We have experience with all manufacturers and have hundreds of talented, experienced warranty administrators that are trained and certified. We work with over 1,000 dealerships in North America and have partnerships with hundreds of dealer groups, including most major publicly held groups. We comply with all the FTC safeguard regulations to ensure your data is protected and the warranty transactions we are making on your behalf are safe. When you partner with Automotive Warranty Network for your warranty claim collection needs, you are assigned an experienced, manufacturer-certified warranty specialist that will work on your warranty repairs on a daily basis in your DMS. Our claims management service is a full warranty claims administration service. From examining the repair for compliance-related issues once the technician is completed with the repair, then properly coding the repair with the proper labor operations in the DMS, submitting the repair to the manufacturer for payment, and also performing the accounting work once the repair is made, by reconciling the warranty schedule and accounting for any discrepancies in payment. During this process, we use our proprietary CARS software to make you aware of compliance issues that you need to be aware of and address to make sure claims stay compliant in the event of an audit. Our software also tracks the frequency of certain compliance issue types and who is responsible for them in your dealership, so we can help your staff better understand their roles and responsibilities in the process and help them perform their job function more efficiently. In addition to warranty claims administration, we also offer a proactive mock auditing service where we can perform an audit the way the manufacturer would, showing you what your exposure would be if the manufacturer were to audit you today, without the real expense of a potentially costly financial loss. During this process, we will ask for the hard copies and supporting documentation for a list of 20 to 50 repair orders, depending on the scope of audit requested. Our auditing team will then analyze the repairs with the same discretion that a manufacturer auditor would and assemble the information in our proprietary software. The result will be a detailed report with the value of the audit and the potential loss. We will break down each issue type by category and dealership personnel associate with each discrepancy, so we can show you the most common problem and who is responsible for them. The report will also have each included repair order in PDF format, marked up so we can show you exactly what is wrong. Each report comes complete with an action plan and a detailed review with the auditor and your staff over Zoom, so you can ask any questions you may have. We also have a team of trainers that can work with your technicians, advisors, and service personnel on what their role and responsibilities are in the warranty process and best practices to make sure everyone is performing to the best of their abilities to ensure the best outcome if the warranty work is to be audited. Our training can be recommended as a result of one of our proactive audits or performed as an a la carte service. If you are looking for the best solution for your warranty claims administration and management needs, Automotive Warranty Network is the solution for you. With over 280 trained and certified warranty administrators, team leads, auditors, and support staff, we have the resources to collect the money you are entitled to in a timely manner and help you retain that money in an audit. Please visit our website to see what hundreds of satisfied clients say about our service, or contact us at info@awninc.com or 303-703 9143.
Take a moment now to pull out your phone to scan the QR code on your screen to vote for the Best Practice Awards that will be announced at the end of this event. Remember, every vote counts, so make sure you put your superpowers to use and vote for the 5 speakers or panelists who you think are the heroes of the show. And don't forget, you can only vote once.